So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back once again to 3 and Out.
What's up?
Brought to you by MyGarageBar.com and, of course, Disruption Network. You hear that little squeal going on? That's because I almost forgot to bring the microphone in. I'm sitting here, I'm like, everything looks good. We're in a great place. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, that's right. The microphone's over there. Yeah, we'll get there, man. You guys are going to be excited by this. This is officially our last show for the season.
Wow. Yes, it is.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? I was looking today. This is officially our 52nd show.
Wow.
Doing 3 and Out. Yeah. I was pretty excited about that.
That's pretty good.
Impressive.
I'm surprised we made it past 1. To be honest with you. I was really, when we first started doing this, I was not quite sure how it was going to work out. 52 shows later, I'm still not quite sure how it's working out.
We still don't know what we're doing.
Everything's on a wing and a prayer with us.
Yeah. The 53rd will be great, though.
Yeah,
the
we're really
53rd is phenomenal.
You know, speaking of 52 shows, look who's here. It's
everybody.
All my guys here. And you know what? You three, Jamie, Erica, and Ray, you've been along right for 52 of those shows, right?
I've been on all 52. Yeah,
wow.
No, I've missed a couple, but
yeah, I've missed a couple too.
I missed a couple.
You haven't missed any?
I haven't missed one.
Son of a
bitch. Yeah. It's about dedication. I haven't missed one.
Well, you're making us look bad, Jake.
I know.
Come on.
Mr. Overachiever. We talked about that.
Yeah. Step up your game. That's all it is.
Trying, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I had to go give blood today. You know what I thought of?
Me, right?
Yeah, I did. I was like, if Jamie gave me this, I wouldn't be feeling bleeding all over the place and everything else.
Oh, yeah, you got the shaky one, too, probably? The one with the shaky hands that's just, like, stabbing at whatever they can find?
Yeah, they're like, I got you.
Yeah, almost like Jason-esque.
We have to talk about something very funny. And that is,
man, I already know where you're going.
Yeah, you had a chance to meet one of your idols.
I did.
Oh.
Yes.
And Mr. Singletary.
Yes, Devin Singletary.
Yes, over at the Hall of Frames.
Yes, yeah, rookie running back of the Buffalo Bills, and which is an awesome experience in its own right. First off, I don't get too high on rookies ever, but when he got drafted, like literally the day he got drafted, I sent a message to our buddy Mick, who's a big Bills fan, and pretty much said, I have an unhealthy fascination with this guy, which I actually admitted to Devin Singletary when I met him, by the way.
That's not creepy at all.
No, not at all.
Not a bit.
But I was like, I had a huge fascination with the guy coming out. I said, look, this could be the best running back in the class. Like, you got to watch this kid. Trust me, he's going to be great. So when he got a chance to sign the football, I was very happy about that. And then Z murdered me.
Apparently none of us knew that you could actually go in there and
interview him. Yeah.
It's encouraged.
Yeah.
So now we know.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Exactly. So,
yeah, guys, we could have interviewed Devin Singletary.
Devin Singletary. Yeah, I wouldn't have been in my glory for that. Or
I don't think you
anything.
would have been able to speak. You would have been like,
let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I called him right after, and I said, "Did you talk to him? Did you meet him?" And what did you say you said to him?
Actually, so the greatest part is he talked to literally everybody. And so I've heard many stories. So he stopped to talk to everybody. So
That's awesome.
I put the football down and I have him sign it, and he's looking at it, and there's a bunch of Hall of Famers on there. It's like Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly. It's a bunch of Bills names on there. And first off, I called him by his nickname, like Motor. What's up? Nice to meet you. Damn pleasure. And he's like, all right, man. Thanks, man. We're good. Chilling.
Creepy again here.
Hey, she's like chilling, and he looks up at me. He goes, how you doing? I'm like, well, I'm here, so pretty good. I'm gonna go with And he starts laughing. He's like, right on. And then, while he's signing the ball, he's looking like above Thurman and kind of, like quizzical almost. He's like, well, you're putting me above Thurman. I kind of go, yeah, I'm just going to admit I kind of have an unhealthy fascination with you.
Oh, my
And he just kind of goes, this is his response. He starts chuckling, he stops signing, goes, I dig it.
Okay.
You probably made his day.
Yeah, he was laughing it up about it, though. So
He's like,
good
I
sport.
dig it. Meanwhile, he's like, I'm going to check
Yeah.
all the locks on my
Yeah,
house.
it's over with. It's over with. Yeah. So,
Went over like a fart in church.
What movie was he watching when you stalked him later?
well, dude, then I'm going to get caught if I tell you that, Matrix.
Yeah. Moss, what's going
up?
on?
What's
52
going on?
shows.
52 shows. I've not been on all 52 shows, but
Slacker.
unfortunately for everybody, I have been on quite a few of them.
Yeah.
The majority.
You made the margaritas.
I did. Shout out to Gail, my sister Gail, for giving us the recipe for the margaritas.
What are these called?
They're skinny margaritas.
Skinny margaritas. What makes them skinny?
It's because it doesn't have a lot of calories in it. Very, very little calories. It's pretty tasty, though.
There you go.
It is tasty. So I got to tell you, when you first came on, we started doing the show together.
That was terrible.
You were so petrified. She was so petrified. I remember the first time she got in front of the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
We asked her a question and she went, I can't do this.
Well, because I'm the type of person that's so used to being behind the scenes. I was completely thrown off by putting me in front. And but I think I've
Yeah, you've come along incredibly.
definitely come a long way.
I was going to say, so here we are in our third year.
Now you can't shut me up.
I was not going to be the one to say it, but hey, thank you for doing it. Always good. Ray Nation,
What's up?
what's happening, man?
Another good day, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting ready for a little off season here.
Oh, yeah. I'm just waiting for somebody to bring up the Niners so I can walk away and not
That's
look.
coming.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
I don't want
He still hates them. Spoiler. Yeah.
No, they're my team now.
Oh,
And so say,
What?
have you officially?
wait.
You kind of have to at this point, right? I mean,
So if they're your team, then Kansas City's winning this weekend.
I can't root for Kansas City. That's crazy.
Oh my God! So
Oh, boy,
we
here
all
we
know
go.
one guy who's a very big Kansas City Chiefs fan. Probably
Oh,
the
yeah.
biggest I know. He's been a fan forever. Gus,
Yes.
Tim Edwards, and so there's got to be like a rivalry going already.
Oh, I'm sure. He's said some things to me, and I'm like, you didn't win yet, so relax. It's not over.
Yeah.
Because if they do lose, which I'm expecting to happen now, because every time I doubt the Niners, they score 30 and win. So
Oh, I see what you're doing here. Oh, yeah.
Reverse psychology.
I see.
I only got one more chance. We'll see. I've been wrong 16 times. So I mean,
All right, man.
lucky number 17.
Yeah,
We'll see.
You're bound to hit one. Look at these guys in the back here. We brought him in for the final show. We had you in earlier, Mike Zigarelli. What's going on?
Not much. Having fun?
Yeah, you were. You got the call. You came right down. That's great.
Absolutely.
What you been doing with yourself?
We're getting ready for our upcoming season. We're starting our off-season, preseason training camp, and schedule was released today. And I can say that your Utica Nighthawks amateur football team can kick off the season on July 4th at the Watertown Fairgrounds against the Watertown Red and Black.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So if anybody wants to go to the game, I mean, you got a website up that people can
Yep,
go to?
they would go to the Utica Nighthawks website right now. I don't have it personally on hand, but you can Google it and it goes right there.
Okay.
It links to everyone in the Empire Football League. There's 9 teams. We're looking for a great season, and we're looking to repeat and go back to the championship game and take home the trophy.
Very cool. Very good. And last year, your position on the team was
A coach.
a coach.
Hey, yeah.
This year, I am the assistant head coach.
Okay. Very cool.
I am also the vice president of
Wow.
the organization itself.
Damn, dude.
And we're expecting big things. We're hoping for more players to come out this year. We're looking for a lot of sponsorships. We have 2 to 3 major road games that I don't plan on driving to. So we're hoping to get some sponsorships for buses for the players. That way they can relax and just focus in and not have to worry about driving and things of that nature.
Gotcha. You know, and the other thing too, I was going to ask you, are you all right? Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. See, I didn't have my my connection here going on, so now I'm getting all kinds of people. Oh, wait, hold on.
Hey.
Now we have all these questions to answer now. Thank you.
Yeah.
None of them are Devin Singletary.
No, that's true. That's
None of them related.
Poor Jamie.
I'm going to have to come
It's
back
okay.
down that question. I totally forgot what it was. I've been totally thrown. And you know why? One of the big one was I wanted to sing to you personally. Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
You're not going to get the whole song.
No.
That's-
Maybe later.
yeah. Ray Party, what's
Hey.
going on, man?
Nothing much. Congratulations, guys, on how many episodes? 52. That's
52, yeah.
Huge.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Do you have your tape around?
It's right over there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
In iShot.
it is. Yeah.
Can you reach it, Jamie?
Oh, I'm going to. I'm going to be off camera for a minute.
Okay.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to tell you a joke.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So
you also
it's my
gotta-
birthday joke.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep that right there. It's terrible.
And we got to tell the story of that in just a second.
How do
Yeah.
you tell the difference between a frog and a horny toad?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Frog says ribbit, ribbit. A horny toad says rub it, rub it.
And that's the ball game.
And,
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And there's the end of show 52, guys. Have a
Great
good
part,
one.
everybody.
Congratulations.
He's here all week.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Try the veal.
Mazel
Yeah.
tov.
Tell us the deal with this tape. This is like a birthday tradition with you guys, huh?
Yeah, so as people may know, I've been best friends with Jamie for about 35 years now.
Yeah.
So back when obviously VHS cassettes were a hot thing,
We're all the rage.
they were popular.
Yeah.
I got this tape. My stepfather used to own Video to Roll, which was a movie store around here. And he used to get screeners, which were advanced copies of movies. This is pre-internet, so this is black market stuff.
Hot
And,
commodity right there.
We were into The Matrix. We saw it, blew our mind back in the day. And on this this cover says "Better Than The Matrix." It has Jude Law, William Dafoe, Jennifer Jason Leigh. And so we watched this movie. We were pretty much dumbfounded. It was the worst piece of crap we've ever seen in our entire life. So we felt like we were misled. So for the past, 20, I don't know how long,
22 years or something like that. It's up there.
Yeah.
this has been a gift that we hand back because our birthdays are 6 months, away from each other.
So you just keep giving it back.
We keep giving it back and forth. You have to keep it in the eyesight. This way you don't,
Forget.
forget. And
Don't misplay.
every single day you walk by it, you curse the other person out
Yeah.
for being friends with them.
Yeah.
And today
That's
is
not been too bad if it's still 20.
today. Obviously, my birthday. He didn't bring me anything else.
No, not
I
today.
got skinny margaritas. I got
Yep.
cupcakes. I got
cupcakes.
you guys,
Yeah.
right?
And that.
Yeah,
But
and
this
that.
Mrs. Singletary over here brings me the VHS tape, and obviously I'm going to be drinking a lot more than I normally would.
Yes, for the next 6 months.
Yeah, so it's terrible. It's called Existence, and I don't know if you can see it. It's not. It says Existence, but it's EXISTENZ
Yeah.
because the 90s everything ended with a Z.
Yeah. Made it, that was
Please
it.
go watch it. It is terrible.
It
Please
is.
go
So it
watch
kind of spawned this bad movie night thing where we watch terrible movies and make commentary, and we have a list. And this still ranks in the top 10. after
Yeah,
20.
it's probably top 5 still. Yeah, it's way up
Oh,
there.
yeah.
He's
So-
like the raccoon on the
Yeah.
Geico commercial. This is horrible. You
Yeah.
got to try
You
it.
gotta try.
You gotta
Exactly.
watch it.
This is terrible. You gotta try it.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I knew you guys liked it when you came in. You held that tape up and you went,
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
one.
Day one.
Yeah.
Here it starts.
Your birthday is supposed to be a celebration.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's not.
You know what's best about it is our prospective girlfriends. Basically, this is my story when I left the house with that tape in hand, where she went,
Thank goodness.
"Oh my god, about time!"
Yeah. So
And like they're happier than I think we are to get rid
because
of
it's
it.
in a spot where company comes over and then you have to go through this whole story
Yep.
again, and they're like, "I don't get it," and I was like, "We don't either."
We started it, and that's what happened.
It just keeps happening. I don't know why. We just have
Yeah.
I hope You know,
And God
put it in my
bless Sam and
casket.
Bree for
Just
that.
Put it in my casket and let me take it. You know,
I can't wait to hear about this in like 50 years.
Oh,
You
my
guys are
God.
Oh,
doing
it's still going to
this
happen.
with
That's
It's
why I
still
just
gonna
said
go.
God bless Sam and Bree.
Yep.
And I got to let you know, Israel Thompson
yeah.
says, happy birthday, big dog.
There you go.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Izzy.
Check it in there. So,
Sweet.
some point, I guess we should probably talk about football,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Yeah, why not?
That's why we're here.
Football on a football show. What's that all about? This week, because obviously there's only one game to talk about, we're going to kind of push that off till the very end. You know, breaking that game down, that's going to be like our final thing we do for the night. So I asked you guys for a change, what do you want to talk about? And I kind of threw it out to you and said, why don't we go back and revisit some of the stories from this year? Some of the compelling stories, some of the ones that we looked at and we had questions about. And, you know, as we've moved forward in time, I guess now we have our answers for some of these. And other ones, I think we just have a fresh perspective on things that's going on. So, Jamie, I'm going to start with you. And I know you said one of the top things you wanted to talk about was the 2020 Rams.
Yes. You know, and first and foremost, this has been one of those things that we've talked about in the past, I guess you can say, because they have put all their chips in one basket, and they did that a couple years ago when they were in the Super Bowl, basically. The downfall is I'm a huge hater of general managers, ownership, anybody getting in the way of worrying about, at least to some extent, the future. And the Rams are just the most current of the failures on this one. And looking at what they have going forward in the 2020 season, they're in a lot of trouble. And we saw them fall to a 9-7 record and underperform. And this is a team that a lot of us picked for playoffs or even higher contention levels, at least in the preseason.
I did.
Yeah, and I mean, even halfway through the season, we all kind of figured, like, you know, they'll rebound. They have the ability, they have the talent, but trades have murdered them. You know, we'll start right there with the trades. First off, they get rid of Marcus Peters. That was number one to do that. So you get rid of a cornerback, but then trade to get a cornerback. What the hell are you thinking on that one? And on top of that, to get said cornerback, we're talking Jalen Ramsey, which sure is under contract control for a little bit, but you gave up your first rounder this coming season, so the 2020 draft, and next season as well. So you're short. You're almost your go-to give me home run hitting pick in your first rounders. Those are almost the guaranteed guys, really. And they don't have a shot there. So now they're going to have to pick and choose and really scout for their remaining draft picks, which they don't have a ton of either. They have their second, their third, their fourth. No fifth, because that was part of another trade. I believe that was part of the Marcus Peters trade. They have a sixth and a seventh. That's it. Now, the compensatory picks haven't come out, but it looks like they're only going to get one. So you're talking 5 picks out of that to try to rebuild the roster. And then additionally, their cap space is not pretty either. Looking that up, they're near the bottom of the list. They have about $20 million free in cap space, and that's with pending free agents Corey Littleton, who is their main linebacker, superstar stud that they have to try to keep around with. And you almost have to throw them all 20 of it right there. Additionally, with a free agent left tackle in Whitford, who's also 38 and probably not going to get another contract, and a mess of an offensive line. So you can't dip into free agency, so you assume you depend on the draft. But with 6 picks, you can't really depend on the draft, so you have to go to free agency. They're going to have to play a lot of gymnastics here with that cap in order to do it. And I don't think it's possible. You can't cut a guy or trade a guy like Aaron Donald to free up your cap space, because then your fan base is going to castrate everybody in that organization.
True, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we're talking just a myriad of mistakes basically made by this. And if you just keep looking forward between their pending free agents, who they're going to have to pay, who they currently are paying, they're in so much trouble. I mean, list of biggest needs. This is the funniest thing for me. Offensive tackles, interior offensive linemen. Holy crap, you need an entire offensive line with $20 million and 6 picks. God bless you. Good luck. I don't see a lot of good fortune coming their way. And the worst part is they did it to themselves.
Yeah.
So this could be a team that we watch fall from grace very fast, and jobs are on the line, unfortunately.
We said that. We said that 2 years ago when they started stacking that team we said this is going to be like a wide open window, but it's going to shut real
Make
quick.
or break,
Yep.
basically.
And that was it. You were really shooting for the moon on that one. And if you didn't get there, you're in trouble. And now they're in trouble.
Now they're and even worse. I think that's kind of what makes the baffling Marcus Peters / Jalen Ramsey move so bizarre, because you know they're gonna. If you know you're gonna be in trouble. I get the Marcus Peters that you save your cap space, you save a salary. Then why trade for Jalen Ramsey? That's what I don't get. You basically rob Peter to pay Paul at that point, you know, and
Type of player too, really.
essentially, and really for the extent that the Ravens defense eventually stepped up with Peters in that backfield in the secondary, I should say. Who made out, really? I would say the Ravens probably got the better end of the deal on that as opposed to getting Jalen Ramsey. He kind of disappeared like a fart, really.
Fart in the wind.
Yeah, he really didn't do anything after the trade. So it's a very confusing time to look at the Rams, and especially when we're 2 years removed from seeing Sean McVay being up for Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah.
To now next year, you at least might see fans screaming for his head on the hot seat just because of especially in a meltdown season, despite the fact if he deserves it or not. So. Additionally, you're probably also looking at guys like Todd Gurley, who arthritic knees at such a young age, and that you're paying a lot of money to. You don't know where you're going with that. And a guy like Jared Goff, both taking another step backward.
Yeah.
Now you're asking for where's your future?
Talking about Gurley especially,
Yeah.
we kind of thought that there was something wrong with him going into the regular season. They were, at the end of last season when they weren't playing him in the playoffs, got a little bit weird. And I know everybody was going, there's something to this. There's something going on here. And then all of a sudden, he didn't start really this season, and they started giving him like 5 carries a game, 6 carries a game. You're going, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And everybody started saying, well, maybe they're just holding him for the end of the season just to keep him fresh because they seen how much he got beat up last year and he didn't do anything. But that never really came out. I mean, there's definitely something wrong, something very, very wrong with him.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you said, the arthritic knees, maybe it's a lot worse than they've led people to believe.
And that's strange. I know we talked earlier in the season about this, earlier in the podcast, I know that, where when you have a guy like Gurley who has already said, they've already come out and said he's already got arthritis and he's very young.
Oh, yeah.
But then you draft a guy like Henderson, you didn't really give him much of a workload in any way. They weren't getting rid of Gurley's carries to develop a running game with somebody else. Like Brown also is the other running back. They had some running backs. They'd give him a shot at least. But Gurley's getting 5 carries, so Goff could throw 60 times. That doesn't make any sense. It's a one-dimensional offense with zero offensive protection, especially on the pass side. Jared Goff just wasn't the same player that we saw last year or even the year before, and where he was a little bit better. Since the ascension of Sean McVay into that offense, at least. So it's just rough. So a huge contract to a guy like Gurley who might never recover to the level of what he was in those huge seasons. And now you're also looking at, well, Goff's going to be coming up soon to ending his rookie deal, and now you're going to have to make that decision: is he worth going forward with? When I don't know if the actual data that you have put forward is actually correct, because you've given him nothing at this point except for his right arm and a prayer.
You said Izzy, right? That's
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's checking back in. He said, would any of you agree that the Rams made a bad decision to invest in Goff, and would you correlate that to the dominoes falling? That was the Rams season.
If anybody else wants to take it, I'll let it go. But my purpose is, I would say the amount of an investment was a huge issue, but it's the first in a string of very bad ones. It's also coinciding with the Ramsey thing. They haven't had a first-round pick in 4 years since Goff. And because they keep trading him away.
I think it's a lesson. That's like a textbook lesson for teams that go out and they sign these big contracts and they're trying to win things all right in. They're all in, and then they're stranded. It left them in a very bad way. And that's somebody else checking it, but we're not going to read that one. So we'll move on for the Rams because we do got to keep going. Ray, you actually wanted to talk about some quarterbacks who retired, And then you wanted to mention some of the ones that shouldn't have.
Yes. Well, obviously, as we all know, Eli Manning retired.
It happened.
As Mike's back there popping his
I mean, I get why he retired. I mean, I guess Daniel Jones showed the Giants showed enough promise to, take over that role. But I don't think he should have retired.
No.
No, I think he should have played one more year. I don't know. I think he still had something left in the tank, and he's not the kind of guy to come back out of retirement. He retired, he's done. Like, this is it. So that's a little disappointing to see because I think Daniel Jones could learn from one more year on the bench. But we'll see, I guess. I don't want to even get into all the other problems the Giants have right now with that
whole assortment.
that Jason Garrett character.
Look at Mike back there. He's just like,
I mean,
we should ask him. Mike, do you agree that Eli should retire or should have retired?
I would have liked to seen him go to another team, to be honest.
What?
Because I agreed with Ray. I think maybe he had another year or two left, but to hear the press conference and him humbly saying, when I left MetLife Stadium after the Dolphins game, I just knew.
Yeah.
And you can't. If you know, you know.
I think he knew that Daniel Jones was the person they were going to be going with.
I was actually happy. Sorry to interrupt. But I was actually happy to see that he actually decided to retire because you didn't want to see him get kicked off the team. You didn't want to see him not get signed again. So I was pleasantly surprised to see him.
I'm still upset
to see him
from when they benched him that one game and then put him in the damn game anyway.
Yeah.
That pissed me off so bad to ruin that record for no reason whatsoever.
Well,
and ever since I was just like,
and who put in too.
That was the best
Geno
coaching staff ever.
Why would you put in Geno Smith for?
Geno Smith.
That was just, but whatever. I digress. All right, we're moving on.
That coaching staff should have been in the Hall of Fame just for that one move alone.
Now, so Drew Brees, right? He's like 40, turning 41. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, he showed me enough where I think he should keep going. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they just get the short end of the stick as soon as the playoffs come. They can't beat the Vikings. It's just
that's their
for whatever reason. Kirk Cousins just knows how to beat the Saints. I don't understand. I don't get it.
That team's got their number, man. They just do.
True.
It sucks. It sucks to watch because I want to see Drew Brees win again. I really do. If there's one quarterback in the NFC that I want to see win, it's Drew Brees. And for whatever reason, they just get right there and then just fail.
You think he will? You think he'll win another one?
He will not. He will not, unfortunately. But I'm rooting for him. I really am. But moving on, Phillip Rivers. Now, there's been enough reporting that the Chargers are done and have moved on from Phillip Rivers, which is, I get it. I get it. He's had a long time at the helm, and
like what, 14 years now, 13 years?
Yeah, I mean he staffs the stuff, or he stuffs the stat sheet, but he just never wins when he needs to. Yeah. So I get it. I think it's time for him to retire. I know he probably still has fight in him too and wants to play, but I think if he's smart, he should just hang it up.
Really?
I don't think he should try to go to another team. I'm thinking of the possible options for him. Somehow, Denver keeps popping up, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I do not want Phillip Rivers as my quarterback. I do not, really. But
he just bought a house, though, in Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay.
Or Miami.
Yeah. He's not. Jameis Winston is going to stay in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, go to the Bay.
You guys right now.
Told you.
But
right.
He's not going to Tampa Bay. Maybe Miami. Cares about Drew Rosen, really. But no, I think he needs to retire. I think it's time.
And that would leave one more quarterback from that draft class.
Big Ben.
Oh boy!
Don't you do it! Don't you do it!
I should have warned Ben just for this situation.
Here's the question. I mean, I guess we'll find out with what that elbow, what he's got. But I would not like to see him retire on an injury.
No.
I want to see him go out fighting. So if he comes plays next year and they don't have it, then all right, Ben. So you know what? I'm content. I got my rings. I got the stats. I know I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm good. And then he can go out. But I think he needs to play one more year. Now, Tom Brady, everybody wants to talk about Tom Terrific. Let me make it very, very
boy.
clear. Tom Brady
no.
will play again next year for New England. He's not going anywhere. Relax. He's not going anywhere until I see that Julian
believe
Edelman.
it.
Until I see Julian Edelman sign somewhere else, then I already know locked and loaded. Tom's coming back. Like those guys are not going to. The minute Brady leaves, Edelman retires. Belichick probably says, "All right, you know what? I've had it as good as it's going to be, so it's time for me to pack this up too. Enjoy my grandchildren or whatever, something." But no, Tom Brady will be back in a New England uniform. He'll get his 12 wins.
Oh, here we go. Here, what
What's
is
coming?
it?
Favorable call.
Favorable calls and a playoff run. You know it's coming. You know it.
Well,
I don't think you're going to see. I think Belichick wants to coach without Tom Brady.
That's correct. I'm with Moss.
I'm with Moss.
Belichick wants a lot of things. He wants Jimmy G back, but he's not getting it.
Sure is not.
people in Hawaii.
They get it. Belichick wants a lot, but no, he's gonna. Tom Brady will be back.
See, this is very interesting, and this goes right into Ray, our other Ray. Your topic for tonight was going to be the possible downfall of the Patriots dynasty.
Yeah, so I thought this topic would be different for me to talk about. Obviously, wearing this perfect emblem right here, logo.
Oh boy.
It's very phallic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Said the guy, Devin Singletary.
Yeah. That's okay.
It is. It's actually good. So I don't think Tom Brady's coming back, and I wanted to talk about the Patriots, which I understand is an oxymoron because nobody wants.
Yeah,
to talk
normally
about
we
the
don't do that on this show.
Normally don't do that. But there have been things that have been going on that'll take away from the luster of the Patriots. So they lost 7 coaches last year to different teams. So I know Belichick has survived before from losing talent and from losing coaches prior. Mm-hmm. I just think he's hit a point, an accumulation of, good coaches have left. And I think he got a little overconfident. He started handing it off, playing Call of Duties on defense to his son. Mm-hmm. If I've ever seen nepotism before, that would be it. So I think by losing, some of his, actually a majority of his coaching staff, and then, we talked about the Belichick versus Brady. That's why I think Tom is going somewhere else, because I think he wants to show that it wasn't Belichick, it was him. And I think Belichick tried to trade him 2 years ago to show that it's, him and not Tom Brady, which is why he then sent Garoppolo to his, best friend's son for a second-round pick in San Francisco, which, by the way, fun fact, that's Tom Brady's favorite team. He would have been out of contract, and he probably would have tried to play for the 49ers, who at that point in time did not have a quarterback.
Interesting.
So that's a nice, cock block to Tom Brady, well in advance. That's a chess move.
Yeah.
So now, I think he's left with the option of LA, the Chargers. New stadium. They don't have a face of the franchise anymore now that Philip Rivers is going to Tampa Bay.
He's already put it in writing.
Miami.
No. So, and then you have, a couple other Belichick moves. You have lack of confidence now in the offense because you haven't upgraded anybody. And
Very true.
McDaniels is supposed to be the heir apparent. He's supposed to be the successor. He was going to Indy. They called him back. Probably gave him a few favors like Robert Kraft in Florida. And
Great.
by the way, I wonder where that disappeared to.
Yeah.
So that also shows that he didn't want McDaniels to take over. So Belichick wanted to keep his job. Now you have less confidence in McDaniels. It didn't work out when he went to Denver. He backed out of Indy, and now he can't even have a decent offense with essentially the greatest quarterback of all time. Then you got the Antonio Brown trade. I can say his name. We talked about that. I had clearance.
Clearance.
You knew that wouldn't work because of the pending cases that were going on against him, and he's slowly losing his mind. Yeah. And I think all of that just kind of led to a lot of overconfidence, and that era feels over. Nobody is scared of the Patriots anymore.
No, I think there was a day and age when just going into that stadium, you could see coaches making bad calls. Other teams couldn't make plays. They're dropping the ball. And you could see they were just rattled playing that team. I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of a change that's going on there. They're not the big bad, bully that they were even last year.
Yeah, and I think they're completely beatable.
Yeah.
And when Belichick
Obviously.
gets Andy Dalton as his new starting quarterback,
Oh, okay.
The Red Rocket.
the Red Rock.
Really?
Yeah.
Donnie will lose his mind.
Boy.
Couple questions. New England, what was their record last year? 12-4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Second, Belichick's still there. Josh McDaniels is still there.
I knew you were going to dispute this. I knew you were.
It sounds like
Mohamed Sanu's
sounds
still
like-
there.
It sounds like the two parts that they needed are still there. Their offensive guru and their defensive guru. So all those other coaches are expendable anyway, right?
Just think they got what, a fourth round
come on,
quarterback
let's
there
be
too?
serious. The wide receivers coach is now the Giants head coach.
Right.
Right.
What wide receivers? Chris Hogan, right? That's
No,
their,
Chris,
that was
Chris Hogan
that was a
has
couple
been
years
there for a
ago.
couple years.
who's their starting? See, that's how. Who's their starting receivers?
Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah.
Edelman.
N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
All right, draft
Edelman.
pick Edelman.
Philip Dorsett.
Okay,
Philip
and they had a total of what, 8 yards?
I don't know what the hell they have.
You think that's not part on McDaniels?
No, it's not McDaniels.
Okay. So the offensive coordinator has nothing to do with the offense.
Well,
If I tell you to run her out,
I'm sorry, but
and the greatest quarterback,
it's hard
Gotta
for
throw
me.
the ball.
It's hard for me to say a team is on a downfall when they win 12 games. That's tough. That's. I mean, if that's a downfall, then I'll take a downfall for the next decade, please. Send it to Denver
Denver.
right now,
Yeah.
because we just went 6-10, and that was brutal. So send it.
and there was talent on that wide receiving core.
Yeah, but then
Send
you say 12 games is good enough, but then the Saints continue to win 12 games and don't make it far in the playoffs. And that's not acceptable for them,
For who?
for anybody in New Orleans, for any voodoo priest on Bourbon Street.
So you mean for a Super Bowl champion?
Right. But in New England, it's Super Bowl or bust, especially when you got 6 rings.
No doubt, but 12 wins is 12 wins. I'm sorry, but if that's my bad year, a 12-win season, and to get to the playoffs and lose
To Ryan Tannehill.
well,
The thing is it's
In a
not
Titans
good,
uniform,
it's
not a
not good
Dolphins
enough
jersey.
for the Boston people.
I
They
agree.
won a
I
Super
agree.
Bowl,
It's
and
not.
they don't
It's
get a
not the
Super
same
Bowl.
New England that we're used to, right? This 12 seemed lighter than other years where they've had 12, but 12 is
The
12.
lucky 12. That was a lucky 12.
He lost to Miami, too.
Yeah.
They always lose to Miami. Don't make it
Right.
like. Don't
That's
make
right.
it like that's like
He just
a new
right,
thing.
right. He just wanted you to say that.
Like,
all
come
right?
on.
He
They
wanted you
always
to
lose-
say it. Yeah.
Dude, every year they lose one to Miami. Like,
Yeah.
this is how it goes.
I think personally, when I used to think about the Patriots, it was always Tom Brady leading that team and blowing other teams out. And this year, it was very much the opposite. You're like, their defense was carrying them a lot of the time.
Yep.
Agreed.
And Tom Brady looked very normal. He looked very average.
That's okay though.
But it's the same thing that I have said
it is
for a
down.
few weeks now. If he does go to San Diego and excuse me,
Aha. It's hard.
Los
isn't it?
Angeles,
One demerit.
I was
One demerit.
go for it. I'll take it. If he goes to LA
Yep.
and he throws it all around this new stadium, was it always Tom Brady? Or are we going to say, oh no, he's 41 years old and he can't do it anymore? It's his age and he's got wide receivers.
I don't think I'm going to say it in that voice.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
anybody will.
I might say like,
but let's be honest. He's 41 years old.
yeah.
He did so much damage with no wide receivers, and he's got 6 rings.
Brady's going to go out on his own terms.
That was everybody's excuse.
Jamie's stewing up here.
Tom's never had
he said the statement I
prototypical wide
hate, that's all.
receivers. He's
Yeah.
never had household names.
Yeah.
He
Never.
didn't have household names now.
He did.
What's his excuse?
He's had a lot of household.
Yeah,
names.
he has. Yeah, he
Again,
has.
I'm just saying what I've heard from
Randy Moss
actual
had 25
Patriot fans.
touchdowns. Oh, well, those guys are idiots, though.
Yes.
Come on.
Actual Patriot fans
Yeah.
have told me he's never had a household wide receiver.
Randy Moss.
Yeah. Hall of Fame receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably top 3 receiver all time.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Rob Gronkowski.
Again,
Yeah.
that's the only one they've ever gone to. And I guarantee you, Ray, Jamie, and Ray can tell me the other ones. And I bet Moss can too.
Oh, yeah.
There's been a lot of wide receivers that have come through that only asked for what?
How come I was
Maybe a
Yeah,
couple
I don't
million
know.
more?
I don't know. She's going to take your skinny margarita away. You can-
I think that's what's hitting. That's why I forgot everybody up here.
I got to
Too much
say,
tequila.
I got to
Thanks,
say,
Gail.
watching the show and being part of it,
Totally different.
you guys underestimate Moss, man. She's right the majority of the time.
Yeah, like
I point that out.
90% of the time.
And it might be the tequila, but I swear she is right the majority of the time.
I didn't pay him before we started the show.
Moss, quick, say something about Miami.
Yes, anything about Miami because it's obviously paid in advance at this point. So
Yes.
you guys had some deal before I walked in and gave them that terribly awful VHS.
I have chicken wing dip cooking over there.
There you go.
There it is.
So
That
if
might
we
be it.
gave it one of those, like the old
The little thumbs up, thumbs down thing. Yeah.
Patriots dynasty, yay or nay?
It's done.
Wow,
It's
thumbs
done.
down all the way. Ray says, "Oh, he's
You
still,
still think it's a dynasty though?
still flying the flag."
It's down.
I mean, until they they have to do something drastic.
Like not make the playoffs?
Exactly. Which probably won't happen.
No, I don't see them making the playoffs next year.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, right here. They're
Like
not
that
making the
prop bet.
playoffs.
That is bold, ma'am.
I like that.
You know,
There's the 90% being
you know what's
right.
better.
There's new quarterbacks in the AFC.
You know
Let's
what's better?
go.
I agree with her.
I mean, we'll
I
take
absolutely
one
100%
I'm
agree
on
with her.
board.
That is
Yeah.
bold.
Sign me up.
Yeah, that's actually.
we have to also focus on the bias here. We're talking a Dolphins fan, a Steelers fan, a Bills fan,
Whatever.
and a Giants fan. Of course, they don't want to see Tom Brady and the Patriots make
You
the
think I
playoffs.
want to see the Bills or the Jets?
No, but you'd rather those over the Patriots.
I'd rather be the Dolphins than anybody.
Here's the bigger issue that I have with that as far as the 12-win season for this year that is soft, because all year everybody talked about how the Bills got to 10 wins on the softest schedule. The only team that had a softer schedule was the New England Patriots. That nobody said a damn word about that all friggin' season though, you know. And this was them getting through teams that they should have played a better game against. I'm not even saying blow out, but they played poor and beat some teams that they should have beaten easily in that case. I mean, ugly wins in that 12-win season. And even more so, that playoff game against the Tennessee Titans, you cannot sit here and say that they should not have been the better team. The problem is they are a piss-poor team that hid behind 12 wins, and Tennessee exploited it. A team that could run using Derrick Henry, and that's it. Now going next year, here's the problem. The hardest schedule already listed for next year is the AFC East. New England's is the hardest.
Love it.
Buffalo's the second. So
Sorry for that.
I
with
have
it.
major issues with that. If we're going to talk about schedules, you got to go back. We got to go both ways on that. So if Buffalo's had an easy schedule and they sucked their way in, so did the Patriots. It's that simple.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
Bold. That's what I like. A bold show. This is great. We got to move on.
We do.
It's already like 7:45.
No, we gotta-
haven't even got through the first thing.
I know.
I told you guys we were.
It's going
a little
long.
bit late tonight.
Yeah.
Plus the margaritas. You know,
They're hitting right.
Thanks, Gail.
Moss, you wanted to talk today about.
Wow. Okay. So if you tell me that we have to talk about a big story in the NFL this year, we have to go right back to our very, very first show this season. The biggest talk we talked about, and we weren't even allowed to use his name. We had to refer to him as the receiver,
Yeah.
and then it went to that guy. But realistically, you have to look at it throughout the year, and you have to call him by name, just like Ray Party did back there.
There you go.
Antonio Brown. Wow. What a year. I should say what a last couple years, but the last 6 months have been very, very, very sad to see. The guy has just spiraled out of control. It's a very, very sad thing. And I don't necessarily know if I'm going to quote myself, but I do know that we talked about it in that first episode. That hit, which was January 9th of 2016 that he took against Vontaze Burfict.
Oh, that hit. Yeah.
Was the downfall of everything. I think that I'm not saying that just that hit is what did it, because obviously it's been going on for several years, but he hasn't been the same since.
No.
He really hasn't. Everything has gone wrong for the guy. He is erratic behavior, everything. And I know we'll talk about a little bit more about this later, but you have to look at this and you have to say the guy obviously has CTE. And I wish that somebody close to him would take him aside and say, we need to get you help. They're just walking away from him. Even his own agent is saying, you know what, when you get better, then come see me, because that's when you'll make me money, is when you can get back to football.
Yeah.
And that's sad to see, because that's supposed to be somebody that's close to him and look out for his best interests. And he is obviously just pushing him aside and saying, whatever, you need help. And that's not enough. You have to do something to get somebody help. And it's very, very sad to see. The only thing I can hope for, as bad as it was that he got arrested, he got that ankle monitor. They're making him get a medical evaluation. He's going to, get drug, alcohol tests. And I hope during that whole process that he gets the help he needs. And I don't even know if there's any medical help that can help him, but at least make him I don't even know how I want to say
Well,
this
at
because
least
it's sad.
diagnose it.
Diagnose
make an
it.
official diagnosis.
Or make sure that he's not going to hurt himself and he's not going to hurt anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the big factor.
Yeah.
It's very sad. And I know I sat here, you and I both, most
Yep.
Steelers fans, sat here week 1 and said,
Crushed him.
yeah, it's a hatred. Like, we hated him. Oh my God, how could he do this? How could he do this to our team? How could he be this way and everything else? And the end of the day, it's more than that. He needs help.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. Those first couple shows, we sat here, we crushed them because as Steelers fans,
Yeah.
we
it
were
was
hurt.
hard. I was hurt.
You know,
I was
somebody,
butthurt.
Somebody that we've watched and has carried that team for several seasons now. All those amazing plays, everything. I mean, he was pretty much like the heart and soul of that team. And
The
at
smile. It was almost like it reminded you of a Heinz Ward smile.
Yeah,
And,
and at the same time, everything was going on with Le'Veon Bell and obviously with James Harrison.
Yeah.
I mean, the team kind of seemed like it was imploding for a little bit. And the one thing we were all kind of hoping for as fans, we were saying, well, at least we still have Antonio Brown. And the next thing you know, it was money. And I'll say personally, I didn't understand that at first. I'm the same way. I said, man, that guy is just, I don't know what happened. This was the guy that several seasons ago, if you remember in training camp, he used to sit there and sign autographs for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if you weren't fortunate enough to actually meet him and get the autograph, he left an address where you could mail your items in.
and then he would sign it.
And he'd
send it back.
sign them and
Yeah.
mail them back. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy is the ultimate fan favorite.
Yeah.
And he gets it. This is a guy that gets it. And
I
so
had leggings that had 80s.
I know you did. But to see that kind of turn around, you know, who knows?
sad.
Looking back in hindsight, it's always 2020. Now I look back on it and I say, yeah, you know, what I really thought was just extreme greed and everything else. I'll eat my words. I do. He's not right. He's not
No.
right in the head. I don't know how they go about diagnosing CTE. I don't know what the procedure is. Maybe we'll talk a little
Yeah,
bit
we'll
more
get
about
into
that
it a
after.
little bit
But yeah, man, I'm the same way. I just hope at this point he gets the help he needs, and I hope that circle of friends that he keeps that are obviously, there's some people in there that are just feeding off that money. You know, that's their little honeypot there that they always go to. Man, I hope they see the right in all this and stop floating his ego and tell him, like you said, get the help you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody's got to step up for him.
And it's obvious he's never going to play in the NFL. He's never going to play football again.
Well, I think he's going to get in the XFL. I think
I think
Vince
that's a bad
McMahon will be
idea.
very quick to throw some money his way because he's polarizing.
Losing it.
He's got a following. I mean, he's crazy, but that's what they want. They need somebody that will be entertaining and draw attention and get views. And believe me,
That's Vince McMahon.
while he
That's true.
does, I think he does really need help, and his antics are kind of the last video. When I saw the video where he was like, when he went live and he was like
Swearing at
swearing at the police in front of the kid, I was like, all right, now I think he's really lost it. Like,
Yeah.
he's-
Thinking it's like
gone.
okay and like he's in the right by posting the video.
Yeah, I
he
was
doesn't
confused.
realize that he's not.
I mean, I guess legally he didn't do anything illegal, but it's just weird to be that way.
It's not normal.
Yeah,
To
it
have
was
it,
bad.
the candies. He's over there with the
Yeah.
It's a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
And he's telling the police officer, like, here, I got something for you. Like,
Wait,
Yeah, it
that's
was
weird. That's weird to have. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, totally,
We didn't bring up for
Totally
your
weird.
birthday, Ray. Sorry.
totally weird.
hey, listen, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this because I know you also wanted to talk about the Aaron Hernandez video, and that kind of goes right with this conversation. So let's we'll do a little break here. Do you have trivia? For
I
us?
do have a little bit of
our
trivia.
Final trivia of the season.
It's a pretty easy one, I think, but we'll go with that.
We're going to get your music
Oh,
here,
hold
and
on.
one
Hold
last time. Are we holding? Is that?
No, go ahead.
Right 99% of the time. There we go.
All right, so here we go with this week's Moss's Mindbender trivia question. We finally made it through the 2019-2020 NFL football season, and we're getting ready for Super Bowl 54, San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So my final question of the season for you is, what 4 current NFL teams have never been to the Super Bowl? That's pretty easy, guys. Again, the question is, what 4 current NFL teams have never been to the Super Bowl? We're going to find out that answer right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broken everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Join us Saturday, February 8th through the Disruption Network 3-year anniversary party at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica, New York. Musical acts include Annie in the Water, acoustic performance by Haley Jane, Trampoline Jetstream, and Live Noah. Haley in the Water will cap off the night covering Fleetwood Mac's hit album, Rumors. Party kicks off at 6 p.m. There will be beer, wine, food from Doughboys Barbecue, and Holy Pizzoli. Saturday, February 8th. For tickets, visit our website, DisruptionNetwork.net.
Welcome back to the second down of 3 and Out, brought to you by Disruption Network and MyGarageBar.com. So before the break, I hit you with my final Moss's Mindbender of the season. That question was, what 4 current NFL teams have never been to the Super Bowl? The answer is the Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans, the Cleveland Browns, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Did everybody get that?
I did.
I don't know. But there you have it, folks. This is the final Moss's Mindbender of the season. We'll see you next season.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
There you
Ray
go.
Party, how the hell did we forget friggin' Cleveland?
Well, I thought.
I thought so too. I think like that, some like the
least-
Bernie Kosar years or something stupid.
Oh, like I don't know.
That's all right. It's all right.
See? See?
Well, technically Cleveland went
I
because they
stumped
left
you.
Cleveland, went to Baltimore, and then went to the Super Bowl.
Technicalities.
Yeah, I like technicalities when I'm wrong.
You know, she was actually, you were going to do one about the safeties.
I was.
Which was just going to bury everybody. There was no way they were going to get it. But then we started looking at
Yeah, it
some
was
of the
interesting.
technicalities.
Yeah.
And you guys got to go back and look at the safeties. Because I've mentioned before, that was the question that she answered years ago in there. It was name the 5 players who have been credited with a safety in the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And she got that. And so now there's what, 9?
There's 9 safeties that have been scored in the Super Bowl, but it's a little weird because technically there's still only 5 players that were, credited for
that
it.
did it,
Because the other ones were like a penalty or a punt that they decided to,
I thought it was a snap.
Yeah, well, there you go, like a snap.
Oh,
out of
sorry,
the-
Ray.
yeah.
Wow.
That's hard.
But that was the offensive team that went down. There was no defensive player that actually got credited for the safety. So
Wow.
So, I do have to mention this, guys. I'm very, very bad at remembering things. And I was told I got to do this. I got to remember these. And that is our sponsors. We always have to thank our sponsors because they're good people. They're investing in us, and we totally appreciate that. EJA Moving Company, professional movers, 315-335-0516. Give them a call, competitively priced. They do relocation services, office moves, complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everyone and make it simple for you and to move and relocate. So when it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do the work for you.
That was nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
That was good. That was smooth.
Hey, look at me.
That's right.
I just reek of smooth, right? No, but we do. You know what? I got to tell you, and you guys already know this. Coming from podcasting land, that's how you make your money. We've all been doing this long enough to realize that there's no magical paycheck that comes in the mail for doing podcasting. You get your pay, at least to keep the studio running and the lights on and everything else, by your sponsors. So that's why we always appreciate those guys for having faith in us and for believing us and for, obviously putting their commercials with us.
And if there's anybody out there that wants to be a sponsor,
absolutely, we're always looking for people to advertise with, and just call Z or call even Todd Williams. They'll get you all hooked up, get your commercial on here, and they'll actually have somebody who has a better voice than me do those commercials for you.
I'm going to need a sponsor after this margarita.
Yeah. There you go, man.
I'll tell you that.
Different sponsor.
Different.
So we got to jump right back into this.
Yeah.
We were having that conversation about Antonio Brown and CTEs. And, of course, this was all kind of started, the idea to go back and revisit this by the documentary that we all just watched, which was the Aaron Hernandez video.
yes.
And that was very eye-opening, I got to
Yeah.
say.
It absolutely was eye-opening. It was called Killer Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez, right on Netflix. It was a 3-part series that we watched. I don't know if everybody in here has seen it. Has everybody seen it?
I've
Parts
seen
of it.
No,
I saw it all.
Saw it.
Yeah.
Jamie, you didn't see it? All
not
right.
yet.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth it. It is extremely, I would say, it is incredibly well done. I mean, I think the big part of it, I don't want to give too much away because Jamie hasn't seen it, but they really open your eyes to a lot of what Aaron Hernandez did through his whole life. I mean, they touch a lot on, his childhood, going into high school. There's relationships in high school that were obviously brought up that we weren't all aware of. Then going into college, which as a Gator fan, I followed all through college. So a lot of it was a little shocking to me to see the things that went on there. But the big part about it was trying to get him away from his crowd that he hung out with in Connecticut, and that's why he didn't decide to go to UConn, which everybody believed he was going to go. He had actually already signed when he was like 13 years old. They already said he was going to go to UConn, and he decided to go to Florida, which was probably a good thing to get him away from all those people. But then obviously coming back to New England, getting drafted by New England, which I didn't realize. I'm not really giving anything away. I didn't realize him and Gronk got drafted in the same draft. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And then that brought him obviously near Connecticut, and he was very close to those people that probably brought him down a little bit. And he got himself in a lot of trouble. But the thing about it is, what I liked about the documentary is that they pointed out these problems that he had in his past, and they didn't really pinpoint like one thing that was the reason why he was doing all these bad things. They just gave you that like general look. Like, yeah, this problem. But at the end of the day, we all know he had CTE. They already said that. They did the autopsy on him when he died. Obviously committed suicide in jail, which was very, very, very sad. But here's the problem with this CTE. What are they going to do going forward with this? I really do believe that the NFL has taken the right steps to try to eliminate as many hits as possible. We all bitch about it all the time. How come they can't hit anymore? How come they can't hit anymore? But at the end of the day, this is a problem. It's a very, very, very big problem. It's not just the NFL, military, hockey players, boxers, big time. So medical research needs to continue with this. I don't know where they go. Maybe Jamie can jump in with his medical thing. But obviously the big symptoms that we're all seeing is the erratic behavior. I mean, these people are going crazy. Impulse control problems. They have no control of what they're doing, I believe is how I'm understanding it. I tried to do a little bit of research.
It's a decision making.
Yeah, there is no decision making.
Right.
They don't see right from wrong. And I don't want to put all the blame, and I never would put the blame on, somebody shouldn't get murdered. Just because you have CTE doesn't mean you should go murder somebody. That is not the case. God, I have no throat. It's the margaritas.
She's blaming the tequila. Look at her go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so wound up.
I
She
am.
went right back to it.
You could take Ray's sponsor with you.
I can. But I don't even know where the NFL goes or where, we go as a society on trying to eliminate the problems that CTE is causing for people in the future. I really would love to hear
Anything that I have to say on that one. This is a huge downfall. I know the NFL has made some steps with like helmet regulations. Obviously targeting or leaping or torpedo hits, anything that's going to use your head as a weapon in any way. But where the downfall really comes, as far as the rest of the human body itself, you can recover and heal relatively rapidly. Cells are constantly redividing and, scar tissue's forming and everything like that. So muscles, tendons, all these things are easy to do, except for your brain. That's the one thing that never regenerates. So once your brain is gone in any way, there's no way to get that portion back. So to even go further with the CTE type of thing, there's a story that everybody that has ever worked in healthcare or medicine in any way, shape, or form about a railroad worker called Phineas Gage. We all know this for one reason. He had a railroad spike go through his eye, up through his eye, into the frontal lobe of his brain in the front of his head. And it just showed right there that the damage done totally altered this guy completely. He was a well-mannered family man, very, didn't drink or gamble or do anything like that. And then he follows it up after the injury by turning aggressive, violent, and almost addictive was his behavior. Started becoming an alcoholic. You couldn't get him out of a casino, called into work all the time, and that's the story. So when you're talking CTE, it's just that repetitive trauma in this case.
Yeah.
It's no different than what happened to Phineas Gage many years ago. And that's the horrible part. I wish I could say something that they have some research to actually make this better, or we noticed the symptom and now we can cure it. But this is going to take a very long time, of a lot of money and a lot of research to actually try to counteract this in any way, shape, or form.
What I understand too is the only real, it's just they don't even can't really diagnose you until it's not
until you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, basically a concussion doesn't guarantee it. Yeah. Multiple concussions doesn't guarantee it. It's just a matter of. You could also have a concussion and not know it. You can be asymptomatic with it, so without symptoms.
And it's years later that the symptoms can develop.
Exactly. So it's a hard thing to figure out. It really, really is. And usually, by the time it's even found out, it's well too late. Mm-hmm. They've already hit their path. So. I wish that they're throwing money at it like you wouldn't believe as far as the research, and they're doing everything they can.
It's unfortunate.
The unfortunate part is it's a violent sport, and there's not a lot you can do to change that aspect of it. But at least they're trying to take out certain rules, crackback blocking, and the wedge on the kick returns and things like that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to do something at least. So hopefully it minimizes. But man, it's not an easy thing to even say as far as a recovery or a cure, I guess you can say.
I'm hoping with this documentary that came out about Aaron Hernandez, it opens your eyes up for somebody like an Antonio Brown, so
absolutely.
That they will not let things go, the Aaron Hernandez route. And I'm not saying they can cure him from it, but at least, like I said, keep him from hurting himself and keep him from hurting anybody else.
It definitely opened some eyes. Going back to when I was in school, there was a guy I went to school with, very, very nice guy, talented. I'm not going to say his name, obviously. I worked with him for quite a while when I got out of school. We did the same job. Very, very mild-mannered guy. Everybody knew him as that. And then he had a car accident, and when he eventually came back from the car accident, he had a little bit of a disability to him, but he was off the wall obnoxious and totally different person. People genuinely didn't want to be around him, didn't want to talk to him, saying things just out of left field. And like we're talking about, the whole decision-making aspect of it completely out the window. So much so that it was a retail store, and eventually I believe they fired him because he was just saying things that were totally inappropriate to the customers. Mm-hmm. We didn't see it back then.
But now you look at it.
Yeah, CTE was never a thing back then. Yeah. But now we look at it through, what we currently know, and a lot more makes sense. Mike, I actually want to ask you, because you're probably a great one to ask for this. In your league, what are they doing to kind of address that?
We play under the NFL rulebook. We have modified rules for certain things, but they try to eliminate a lot of it. I can tell you right now, in our playoff game, There was a gentleman from another team who stood at least 6'3", and our corner was 5'10" at best. They said that he went in with his helmet. We replayed this game 4 times. They kept showing the live feed. It was being streamed, so everybody could watch it. They replayed it through the live stream 4 or 5 times. Every single shot that they had, he led with his shoulder. So things can be taken away, but they were ready to kick him out for targeting.
Yeah.
And I said, if we play under the NFL rulebook, there is no targeting. This isn't college. And if you do, you have to go to replay, and this league doesn't have replay. So you can't call a call like that and kick a player out. So that's one of the rules we are trying to amend to, but our league doesn't have replay capability.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, it's going to be very short with our coaching staff, at least, because we want clarification. And if you're going to kick one of our players out for this, we needed to know why, because even from the opposite end, you could see from our end, he was up in the air. Now he's 5'10". This guy's 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
There's no way he led with his helmet to hit him in the helmet when he was bent down trying to go lower. There's no way you're going to get lower.
I think at the end of the day, what it ends up being a case of, it is a violent sport. There's just no way that you're going to take certain aspects of the game out. And the only thing that you're going to eventually have to do is really tell these people, like, we've cleaned this up about as best as we can. This is where you make the decision. Is this still for you, or is it not?
What I think is when it gets to a national football level, obviously I'm not going to say you're taking the risk, but you are taking that risk because you're making a lot of money. It's something that you've decided you want to do. The problem, I think, is starting at a very young age, and I think that's translating into, by the time they get to the NFL, that problem with the CTE already developing has already happened because they've already been hit. Yeah. They've already been hit so many times, and like Mike said, they don't have the regulations that NFL does. So therefore, all these hits in high school, there's no replay. There's none of that. They're just constantly getting hit, and by the time they get to a college and professional level, that problem is already.
Which of you guys played football? And yeah,
all the way up.
I mean, it's a risk you take in any sport. I'll be honest. Every day I went out on the floor or the bars or the vault or the beam, I was taking a risk of breaking my neck. So it is a risk you're taking by being in a sport to have an injury. It's just unfortunate to see this problem exist and continue to be a huge issue.
But I can tell you from certain coaches that coach on our staff that are on the Pop Warner level as well, they are taking the risks and they're trying to minimize it even more so by teaching the younger players how to hit right. Again, when they had the whole heads-up football thing, which I think was great, they were trying to do it, but at the same token, the way they were trying to teach, and you had NFL players that were part of this, and past legends and Hall of Famers, there's no way, even at 8 years old, your head's like this, you're already at a position where your neck is not supported the way it should be, but that's how you want to hit somebody. Even if you have a talent at 8 years old who's you could see some of these kids. I've seen Pop Warner kids with talent. They're going to exploit that, especially if they have a right coach at 8, 9 years old as a running back, and you got a kid like this. You're going to figure a way how to run this kid over.
I think, the other thing, though, you can teach people how to tackle all you want. You can teach them from day one.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, even going back to the Vontaze Burfict hit on Antonio Brown, when the anger starts spilling over, they're not worried about hitting the correct way. You're never going to convince me in a million years that Vontaze Burfict just kind of screwed up and, that was a target.
It was an accident.
Again, if memory serves correct, wasn't that the week before the playoffs?
Nope, that was the playoffs.
That was the playoff game?
That was a target.
It's a wild.
I remember watching everything leading up to that, and I remember it vivid that he just came across the middle. There was no doubt. There was no way he caught the ball. He was going to get hit no matter what.
He didn't catch the ball.
It's not like he let him where he needed to be. He put it right where he wanted, and it was there. He was going to get hit no matter what.
But that's what I mean. As long as you have human emotion in this game and the anger aspect, we've already talked about it a number of times. The football players, man, they're used to hitting. They're aggressive by nature. They just are. And when emotions spill over, that's your first instinct. It's you want to knock this guy out of the game. As long as that's there, this will always remain a deadly,
Sometimes
a deadly.
I was taught to at some point you have to regulate your emotions, but you play the game with so much emotion that it's hard to find the fine line.
I think that's impossible for anybody.
No. We got to move on. We're going to
Sorry.
over here. Ray, I know you were talking about kind of going right along with ways to fix the NFL. What else did you want to talk about with that?
So I'm glad everybody brought up CTE and healthcare and things like that. So these are going to be bold statements. We like to do bold stuff here.
Bold.
Love it.
They're kind of out-of-the-box ideas. And I think, once people hear these ideas and chew on it a little bit, I think you might start to see some logic into it. So I don't just say stuff to be, out of bounds. So when you look at certain problems in the NFL, such as healthcare, right? I know right now it cuts off at a certain point in time when you retire. So a lot of these issues like CTE that pop up later on, you might, go broke, for instance, and can't afford to go see a doctor, and it pops up and it becomes a problem later on.
Yeah.
So my proposal is after year 3, which is the average of the NFL career, you get free health care for life, right? They all have team doctors, right? So you can go to the facility. On top of that, the NFL gets data, right? They get data on medical issues. It can be passed down to a rules perspective where they can change things, make things better. I think it's an all-around win, and it shows the company, the business, the Shield, supports their players even after, they retire. So you get a lot of data. You can make rule changes quicker, and they don't have to worry about medical coverage after that.
That's a great idea, and you're right. That doesn't show up till much later. The big one obviously was Mike Webster, Hall of Famer for the Steelers, who ended up living, I believe, in his car towards the end of his life and way, way past his career. And you're right. At that point, that's still. I think he was the first case of diagnosed CTE, or they were just starting to look into it as something more. But
and when you're with a company, when you have a regular job, you get certain perks after you hit a certain annual or yearly amount. So, which brings me, I'm glad you brought up the Hall of Famer living in his car. The NFL works with a lot of investment banks. They advertise everywhere. Edward Jones, reputable investment company, owned the state, or had their name on the stadium in St. Louis when the Rams were there. So I think it also should be. I don't know how you would do this. So you look at it as a 401k. I'd make it mandatory to invest at least 10% of your game checks into some type of fund, knowing the stats on how many people go broke afterwards. It not only saves you in the long term and sets up your future again, but these companies that are already advertising with you, it's a win-win from the player, from the companies that are already advertising with you. Now you're getting more clients in. And I think, again, it just shows how much you would care as far as, the people that are bringing you in billions and billions of ridiculous dollars.
Absolutely. It's a very classy move.
I'm going to interrupt right there real quick.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a pension already set up for all the players. And as long as you stay out of trouble and don't commit murders or felonies, you will collect on it. Ask OJ, because he's collecting on his $400,000 a year right now.
Right, but I thought the pensions run out depending on how many years you're in the league.
No. So I believe you have to play 3 years to qualify.
Okay.
But once you play the 3 years, it's for life. But you definitely do have the option of investing in it, and that goes more to like your money management and probably getting a good accountant and a good lawyer besides your agent. But
right, and sometimes they invest in businesses with their friends or family, and they lose their money that way. So I just felt like if it was mandatory to invest with these companies that work with the NFL, besides from a pension perspective, I think that would overall help from the high percentage of people that go broke when they get money.
Yeah, I think it would be well in their interest to have some type of an exit plan for a lot of these athletes. I don't know what they do. You started with those guys when they're very, very young, obviously. Right. You hand them a boatload of cash, and when they're done with the league, you go, have fun, have a good life. And I know that the decision making isn't always there. A lot of these guys just kind of run out of cash. They go and
Right.
piss it
They
away.
blow it.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially from an agent perspective too. They don't always have your best interest in mind. They have
Right.
your best money in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe that's something they could look into.
A couple more.
Yeah.
National anthem, hot button issue, right? Well, players weren't on the field besides the Super Bowl until 2009, when the military was paying for what's called paid patriotism. So the whole debate about the national anthem being on the field, being not on the field. So if you go that route, that means anybody before 2009, they weren't on the field standing for the national anthem. You know, you can take that however you want to from a hot button issue.
So you want to keep the teams off the field? You're saying? Or?
Yes. So what I would do is maybe not highlight the team, but what you can do is if the NFL and the military have this, partnership, and everybody, loves the military, we want them to do well, then you make it about the military. So maybe you have whoever's in attendance from a veteran perspective, maybe you hold some type of raffle or lottery, you move their seats up to like a luxury box, and you record the whole thing, right? So you and your family get to move to a luxury box. You get to meet the owner, maybe some players that are on IR, maybe some NFL legends that are in the box. And you get like a whole family experience, and it would help out from a veteran perspective and would turn that to a positive note, right? Because, again, we love the military. We love our soldiers. So I just feel like that would be something where you could turn that negativity on people debating that, and now you're moving an entire family up to a luxury box for a game.
Yeah.
You get to hang out in a situation that you normally wouldn't be privy to.
I think that you have somebody from the military sing the national anthem for
Yep.
every single game. Forget
like hockey.
Forget these celebrities coming out here that destroy it. Let's
Yes.
just get somebody from the military every game.
That's actually what we talked about at the championship games a couple weeks ago.
We did. It was great.
The AFC championship game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was just like a military general or something. I don't know what his title is, and forgive
And
me
then
for
the
that
NFC
or whoever
game,
did it.
I can't remember who they had.
That doesn't even matter. That's
No,
how
it was-
useful.
it was
but it was
terrible.
atrocious.
Yeah.
It was we were almost vomiting on the side of the garage.
Really bad.
Right. But if you're going to make it about the military, then highlight the military.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
So medical marijuana, I mean, it's time to get ahead of the curve. You got these people addicted to opioids. Let's just move on from that. Okay, that's a quick fix. Punishments, you need an oversight committee. It can't be just Goodell doing it anymore. So I would take
I agree with that.
retired judges. I take NFL legends, maybe some owners, maybe some law enforcement, whatever you want to do at that point. Because
a panel.
we already have oversight in our government, so I'm not sure on why it would be such a bad idea to do that. You get some consistency. It's not all one guy owning the punishments, and depending on how he feels that week, he's been wildly inconsistent, and he gets paid a ridiculous amount of money. So kind of take that away from him. Maybe the NFLPA, get them involved. I just feel like that would fix a lot of the inconsistency issues, and you'd have an oversight committee essentially to do that. 17 game schedule. Now you play one game international. I'm fine with that. You make that the Thursday night game, right? You can do it.
International game on
Yep.
Thursday. Okay.
You can do that, and then you do that after your bye week. Okay, so you have an extended period of time to go international. You highlight your brand. You start getting into cities like Tokyo, things like that. It's on Thursday night, which makes that game special. It's not going to be, some
o'clock.
throwaway game, right? And then, like I said, you start building your brand. You have enough time to go there and get used to the time change, and you leave right after the game, and you're already in your regular week.
Yeah.
Because right now, like soccer and the NBA are more international, obviously. And I think they haven't done a good job. It's strictly London, Mexico, Toronto. And you know what's interesting? I'm going to bring this up. Do you know what the favorite team of England is? NFL team? The Miami Dolphins.
We knew this was where this was going, right?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The only reason it makes sense is because they go over there a lot.
They're the frequent
Right.
team. Yeah.
So then there should be other cities that maybe you can partner with down the line, sister cities, Tokyo, Rio, things like that. And I think you should expand that way, much like the NBA did with China. And I just feel like that would extend your brand beyond just the national game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pro Bowl. It sucks, man. Okay? When you watch other all-star competitions, such as the Home Run Derby, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
right? You watch the 3-point competition, you watch the dunk competition. Just remove the game altogether. Go back to like a skills competition. I remember watching celebrities play in like an all-star game,
Yep.
right? So why not have a flag football game with Hall of Famers, celebrities, things like that? You accumulate points over the different competitions, like the quarterback challenge that used to be pretty popular back in the day. That's who wins the Pro Bowl. You move it back to Hawaii. I don't know
Absolutely.
why it's in Orlando.
Absolutely.
Hawaii was the only reason that any of those players even
Right.
wanted
Yeah, it's
to
a
go
nice
to the Pro
vacation
Bowl.
for your family.
Right. Who doesn't want to see a 40-yard dash versus Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill? Because I want to watch that.
I'd watch that.
Right. So you,
Well,
you
Tyreek
take
Hill
it-
probably wouldn't have gone.
Well, I'm just saying in general. But and then I'm moving teams. I'm moving possibly 6 teams. It's going to get controversial. I'm moving the Chargers. I'm moving the Jaguars.
Again?
Yeah. Moving the Jaguars. Listen, the 2-city team thing it's not working out.
You're gonna move them back to San Diego?
No.
There you go.
No, I got some other general cities, and you guys can, I'm moving the Jags, I'm moving the Buccaneers, I'm moving the Bengals, and I'm moving the Jets.
Where are you moving the Jags?
Somewhere other than Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So where are these cities that you want to put?
You got St. Louis, definitely needs one. Portland, Oklahoma City, San Diego, and then Albuquerque.
Really?
Yep.
New Mexico. There
Yep.
you go.
Wow, opening that right up.
The last thing I'm going to throw out, I'm changing the Redskins name.
Yeah.
I'm giving Daniel Snyder 60 days to change the name. Otherwise, he automatically has to sell the team.
Wow.
What?
So listen,
Bold.
the Redskins. Okay, so Daniel Snyder won't change the name. He's visited many reservations. He's had groups with other Native Americans. All of them have told them that it's racist. All of them have told him it's offensive. Do you know what he did?
Nothing.
He said thank you and bought them a tractor
Nice.
for their reservation. You can go ahead and look it up.
Jesus.
Tractor.
So
Tractor. All right.
I
just
didn't hear that story.
yeah. So just like Donald Sterling in the NBA when he did when the new commissioner came in, he made a fool of himself.
Oh.
Sell the team.
Oh man.
You got 60 days, and that 60 days is research and development, so you can figure out a new team name. And after 60 days, you're selling the team.
Bold. He's
Yeah.
bold.
Wow.
That's bold. That is very bold.
Very bold.
That's what I
I
got,
don't think
guys.
I don't think it would ever happen
No.
because unfortunately the NFL makes way too much money.
Yep.
And these are billionaires we're talking about.
Right.
They have so much control over so much more than just football, and it's his team, so technically it's his right to name it whatever he chooses,
Exactly.
as long as it doesn't negatively impact the shield, quote unquote. And
I think it does.
I agree. I think that
And-
it should have been changed. However, because the NFL clearly has gone 60 years with the name, and there's
Not just the NFL.
there was a public outcry for a while there, right? But you've seen that slowly fade.
Yeah, it's
It's
pretty
still
much gone.
it's an issue, but it's still not getting the attention that it once did. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to deal with the Redskins being the Washington team for
Yeah, I see, and that's where I would take a hard stance on that. Adam Silver did the same thing with Donald Sterling when he was acting a fool, and he was notoriously known for doing that decades.
I think the
He
Redskins.
came in, he said, "You got to go, man. You got to go." And then all the owners voted. You think the owners don't want Daniel Snyder out?
I don't think they do.
He's a moron.
He makes so much. No, he makes
He's
them a
got-
lot of
as
money.
long as he's got
he,
dough.
he makes them a lot.
I'm not
of
saying
money.
change the logo. I'm not saying change the color scheme, but he already has. And if you Google it, he already has other creative ideas that have come out, like the Washington Warriors, things like that. He's even gone as far as the Washington Football Club. So kind of going from a soccer aspect.
Oh boy.
Please don't call.
I
Don't
think,
No, no.
ever do that.
I think the Washington Redskins have a lot more to worry about their team than
Yeah.
their name.
I would disagree.
Oh, I
Don't get me wrong.
Totally
I
agree.
totally get the offensiveness of the name, and I would be on board if they changed it. I'm not a fan of them anyway. So the problem, I really think, falls down to money and the branding, the rebranding issue, the money that the NFL makes. This guy has too much influence. They're not going to change it, unfortunately. At least not. I don't think they'll change it in our lifetime. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
You know,
They could have changed it years ago too when this thing first started, and you're right in the nation's capital. You could have piggybacked off of anything.
Anything.
but you know what? You know where this whole thing lost a lot of steam? I had this conversation with somebody about 2 nights ago. when they said they wanted to change the name of the Redskins, it was like, yeah, great. Everybody was on board with it. Then all of a sudden they wanted to change every other name that had any kind of
any connotation.
And all of a sudden everybody went, wait a minute, before you do this, you're taking away everything. What are you doing? And
I'll let it tell us.
I remember that and being a fan of the
I was gonna say
much hated rival of Moss.
Yep.
You were never going to change that
No.
particular college's logo. That is my favorite team.
Right.
Because they are legitimately ingrained into the Seminole culture.
Yep.
Yes, see, and that's the difference, though. Seminole is an actual Native American nation. That is an actual tribe.
Well,
So there's nothing wrong with the Seminoles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
There's
they
a
wanted
lot wrong with Redskins.
Yeah, but they wanted to change the Florida State Seminole name until
I know
the
that. Yeah,
chief
yeah.
actually came out and said, "Do you actually know what Tallahassee stands for?"
Yeah, but
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
a rebranding perspective, it's not like as if people don't buy color rush jerseys, they don't buy alternate jerseys, they don't buy personalized stuff. So from a rebranding perspective, you already have a money marketing machine that people are going to buy, right? So I disagree that the rebranding. I mean, they change NFL jerseys all the time.
Again, I still think when all of a sudden, what is it, Chief Wahoo?
Chief Wahoo for the
Braves.
Braves. Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was
Or the
Cleveland Indians. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, that was brought up a bunch of
The
team
tomahawk
names.
chop was one
A lot of
that's
things
done
got
both in
brought up.
baseball.
Yeah,
and
but
football.
Cleveland actually changed it. Now they go with the Block C.
Right, but what I'm saying is it almost reminds me a lot of like when like the statues. You know how all of a sudden everybody was saying you got to take those statues, the Civil War statues down. And at first it was like, well, we're taking down one statue, and there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, get rid of it. And then there was the call like all the statues have to go. And all of a sudden it started losing steam. And everybody went, well, wait a minute, we don't want to change everything. People just normally, like there's a good section of the population that likes to keep things the same, doesn't like to see massive amounts of change. That's just
Because I think that's people in general. How many people really like change?
well, I mean,
But when it's something that is on a borderline racist thing, you have to sit back and go, yeah, this change can be good.
oh, I agree. But what I'm saying is, it's hard to throw everything at some people all at once. Like,
Yes.
you kind of gotta massage it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Get that name changed. And then if you want to do it a little bit more at a time, but when you go, here, we want this changed and all of that,
Yeah.
everybody goes, whoa, it's way too much for us to handle right now.
Yep.
Forget it. We're not looking at it again. And I think that's one of their big problems is they just threw the whole kitchen sink at them
We
all
could
at
talk
once.
about this for 10
Now,
Yeah.
aren't
At least, yeah.
aren't the Redskins like in the process of trying to get a new stadium built? Right, they're trying, right? So
Last 5 years.
yeah,
I'm not
they've been trying
mistaken.
for a while now. I mean, if that actually goes through, now maybe that'd be a perfect time to
Absolutely.
change the name. It's completely just change it and just move forward. But I think that Dan Snyder, I don't know him personally, obviously, but
You
everything
I do.
everything I've read about the guy, he's stuck in his way. He's not going like he
Absolutely.
is stand firm. Like, listen, this is my team. I'm not going to have anybody tell me how I need to run this, and that's why it's gonna. Like, I think that at some point he probably said, you know what, okay, I could change the name, but because of some of the pushback that he got, he's like, oh, now I'm gonna dig my heels in. The hell with you
Absolutely.
guys. I'm
Yeah, that's probably what
keep it.
made him
like
change.
he was like, no, now screw it. I'm gonna keep it exactly like this
Yep.
because it's my team and I'm gonna do what I want.
I'm going to die with it.
It's my birthday, and I'll cry
It
if I
is my
want to.
birthday. though.
And you know what?
It is,
It is actually right
I
part of
agree,
it
though.
is my birthday.
I definitely agree. It should be changed.
Yep.
And hopefully in our lifetime we get to see that. But
Probably,
like Moss said,
probably
they've
not
got
his,
so many other issues
Yeah.
that. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it is an issue.
No, I
It
know.
is- and it's a
That's
very
not what I
big
meant by
issue.
that.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that we'll see it.
Seriously.
Let's move on. Ray, you got the 2015 draft class you want to
Yes,
talk
the
about.
2015 draft class.
Oh,
so
boy.
now we all know. I mean, I could talk about this draft class for a long time, but I'm going to just focus on like the first rounders and not all of them. I'm just going to pick out like 6. All right, so we got obviously Jameis Winston was number 1 overall
Yeah.
this year.
Da-da.
Led the league in passing yards, right? 5,100 yards. He had 33 touchdowns, which was second only to Lamar Jackson, who was our MVP.
Yep.
He had his second worst completion percentage. I believe it was like right above 60%. And he had He was 32nd in the league, and I say that because obviously some teams used other quarterbacks throughout, but he was right at the bottom with 30 interceptions. So, first in the 30-30 club.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Kudos,
be
man.
happy about.
Yeah.
Congrats on that,
Yes.
Jameis.
He is literally the equivalent of like just garbage time. That's what I want to call this season because his team was always playing from behind, so that's why he was able to pad the stats, throwing the ball all the time. A lot of touchdowns, but a lot of interceptions.
Not eating W's this year.
But with that being said,
I wonder if he was eating crab legs.
Yeah.
with that being said, he is up. He's a free agent. Season's over. He's a free agent, and that man's gonna get paid. I'm telling you. They see the potential. You throw 5,000 yards.
What, you think he's going to get re-signed by
No.
Tampa?
He's going to get paid. I don't know.
Wow.
I think Tampa Bay is going to cough up the dough, but I'm telling you now, he's going to get somewhere in that Blake Bortles like contract, or maybe a little higher. I'm saying somewhere in like the 4-year, $90 million range at least.
Oh,
At
God.
least. I'm
Now-
telling you,
Now,
he's
see,
going to get it.
We got to throw this out here because I stumbled on this little fact earlier and I said it. Maybe somebody who's out there right now, they can check on this, fact check me. I
Fact
read
check.
earlier that Tampa Bay has never had a quarterback that they've gone to a second contract with.
Which I'd believe.
And that's ever.
Look at those contracts. Look at those
Look at the
quarterbacks.
Look at the
Yes.
quarterback.
That's
Why
what I
would you
mean.
want
Brad
to?
Johnson. I mean,
Yeah, Vinny
Vinny
Testaverde
Testaverde.
and the creamsicles, you know?
I
I
get
think
it.
that streak will continue.
I'm just saying that.
Sean King.
Listen, I think that
Good man.
Jameis showed enough to show that there's room for improvement, no doubt. Right? We can all safely
Sky's the
say
limit.
that.
Yeah.
But he's shown enough to show them that based on what's going to be available to them, like what options do they have? I don't really believe that Tom Brady going down there or Phillip Rivers, I don't think those are real viable options. And those would only be Band-Aids anyway.
Yeah.
We're talking about guys that are going to play maybe 2 more years, maybe.
Very true.
So I think that he's going to get the contract. I think they're going to pay him. I really do. I don't want them to, but I think what else do they got? I mean,
There's not a lot to work with.
where are you going? Like,
You know what's funny is I partially agree with Ray. I don't think he's staying in Tampa, but somebody is about to unload on Jameis Winston because the unfortunate part. I know you're shaking your head. Here's the stupidity about football in general, or any sport for that matter. It kind of goes to that whole women loving the bad boy. Hear me out on this. It's because you always think.
I love that. Look at me like the
Yeah,
pink guy over here.
Ross loves Jameis Winston.
Oh, yeah.
No.
My favorite.
I don't mean like that. But every woman wants to date the bad boy because you always think you can change him. That's the way it is. That is the truth of it. So there is definitely a friggin' coach out there that thinks, I can make this guy mine. I can make him perfect. You screwed up. That's why he's a 30-30 guy with 5,000 yards.
It won't be Bruce
But
Arians,
I can
so.
actually I can make him better. I
I'm a
promise.
quarterback whisperer.
Yes, I can do it.
Sean
and
Payton.
so there's totally somebody out there that thinks that they can change what he is. Which the downfall is, Jameis Winston is what he is. You got to leave it at that. He's going to throw for a ton of yards wherever the hell he ends up. He's going to throw a good amount of touchdowns. He's also going to make you scratch your head, pull your hair out. So I can honestly see something like Carolina as crazy as
Do they
it
have
sounds.
Publix in Carolina, though? Because that might be a problem.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Wow. Wow.
It's got nothing to do
I
with
know-
anything, but they're going to
I
sign.
know it's, like,
They're going to sign his
regional.
stupid ass anyway. But I mean, they have a hellish quarterback situation right now because Cam Newton has pretty much been walked out the door before the season started, and you can't trust it to Allen or Will Grier. So and I don't think they draft in a position where they can get one of the top rookies and want to sit there and build on that. Not with Christian McCaffrey in a short time. I would think a Carolina is going to pay the crap out of him.
somebody is.
Yeah, somebody
But
is going
I think
to give
Tampa
him
Bay
money.
will. I honestly, I mean, I don't want to see it, but I think that. Plus, we got to understand we're in New York, right? Like in Florida, he's still a big deal. People still like him there, except her. She doesn't like him. But
A lot of people in Florida. I don't think anybody like.
I know. I mean, I know quite a few people that live in Florida, in Tampa Bay, actually, and they love this guy. They love this guy, and I'm not a fan. But I mean, listen.
They like him.
That's why they were Fitzmagic in all last year.
Well, that's because it was Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Good point,
I
yeah.
digress. Let's keep going. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Carry on,
Mariota's
Ray.
in there too,
Marcus
right?
Mariota.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
my
boy.
next victim, so to speak. Now the poor guy, he's been hurt. He only played 7 games. He averaged less than 165 yards per game. Worst completion percentage of his career. He has a negative win-loss record. I mean, I don't think he's getting signed anywhere.
Nowhere.
At least not for a starting position.
No, it'll be a back.
No.
And I think he's willing. I think he's the kind of guy that knows that he had his time in the light, and he's willing to take the back seat and wait for an injury. And
I don't
kinda-
think he's got much choice.
I know, but that's what I mean. Like I think
He knows that,
I don't think it's bad enough where he's out of the league, but I don't think he's going to be a starter. He'll be
Right.
a second string guy. Somebody will get hurt. He'll come in and like kind of how Ryan Tannehill came in for him.
Yep.
And
That's exactly where he's
and
staying.
that's what's going to happen. I think.
You think he's staying?
I don't think he's staying
Oh,
there.
I don't
no.
either.
They
No,
can,
I
they,
don't think
they can
he's done.
underpay
He's
him
done.
to stay right behind Tannehill.
He's done. He's done.
Go
No,
to
he's gotta
Philly.
go.
Carson
He's gotta
Wentz
go.
gets hurt all the
Yeah,
time.
he's
Go to
got to
Philly.
move.
I thought you said Seattle.
I did, but then I changed it like 2 weeks
He did change it to
to
Seattle.
Philly.
But no, he definitely has to move somewhere. But he'll be in the league still. He just won't be a starter.
Yeah.
But like I said, he hasn't shown much in the last 5 years, really, when you really look at it.
He's had his opportunities. He
Yeah.
just hasn't done anything with them.
I mean, when you look at the quarterbacks of that class, Jameis Winston is the best one in that
It's
class.
sad.
And that hurts.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what hurts Mariota too?
He went to Oregon.
That he did nothing with that team and
Team
then
and
Tannehill came in.
Tannehill
came in.
destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
great.
I don't want to talk
who
about
else we got? Oh,
Oh.
Amari Cooper. Now another one. He's up for free agency, right? He had almost 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. He was top 10 receiver in yards and touchdowns this year. They got to pay him. He needs his money. But
What are they looking like in the cap though? Didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be.
And you got
Well, you're
Dak.
So-
gonna have to choose.
somebody's
one
got
or
to
the
pay
other.
him. I mean, obviously, between him and Dak, obviously, rule of thumb, you go with quarterback over receiver when it comes down to it, right?
Yep.
Somebody's got to go.
But he's going to get paid. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of where. It probably won't be in Dallas.
Buffalo.
Denver.
Buffalo.
Not going to Denver.
Yep.
He's not going to Denver. I think we're content right now with our receiving core, unfortunately. I'm still pissed about Sanders getting traded to the Niners. Don't get me started on that. Whew. But no.
There's your hatred for the
Oh
Niners.
man.
Oh, now it all
There's
makes
where it all
sense.
comes
Facts.
out.
Now I get it.
But if I'm Sanders, I get it.
I've
Now
saw
I-
You know what I mean? Like
No.
if I'm
Loving
Sanders,
life.
if I'm Sanders and they're like, hey, listen, you got to deal with Joe Flacco or go to sunny California. We got Jimmy G on the up and up.
I'd have my bags packed and
Yeah.
gone.
I would have packed before you even said Jimmy G. I would have been like, all right, let's do that. Like,
Let's be out.
but Cooper's got to get paid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we look at the rest of that class. We have Todd Gurley, who obviously we all know. He got paid.
Whoops.
Whoops. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Was it worth it? I mean, he didn't have necessarily a bad year, but to the standard of what he had prior to getting that contract,
Yeah.
this was
forgettable
a
year.
terrible year for him. Disappointing. And I know he knows it. It was disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, but he's sitting there, listen, man, I don't got to try hard again for 4 years. And then I'll get back out there and I'll show you guys that I'm worth the next stupid contract you
Right.
pay me.
There goes
You know
our
what I mean?
arthritis.
You know how it goes when you're on a contract year. All of a sudden,
Wait a
now,
minute.
guys are energized and ready, and
Everything's feeling wonderful.
that
Yeah.
3.7 yards of carry he had goes up to 5.2.
Yeah.
real quick like
Yeah.
that when he knows that money's on the
true.
line.
Yeah, he's got a whole lot of reasons not to care about that for another like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So he's gonna
Brian with $100 bills.
he's gonna do enough to stay relevant. Like he'll be that top 12 to 14 running backs. But then all of a sudden, you're going to see him in that last year. All of a sudden, he's going to jump back up, and you're like, oh, maybe he's still got something left in the tank.
Nope.
Just enough to get that
Fooled you again.
dotted line signed, and then we all know
Because he'll be popping a leave for those
Melvin
knees.
Gordon.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Speaking of whoops.
Melvin Gordon.
Class?
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, he's in that class.
He was drafted.
Yeah.
He was number 15 in that class.
Yeah.
Now he played 12
Yes.
games after his botched holdout.
Yeah.
right.
Botched.
It was botched. Right. The plan didn't work for him. Like he thought, all right, I'm going to hold out. They'll give me all this money. He's like, no, I'm going to play. And then look what happened.
Hey, he's gonna play.
Was it worth
Saw
it?
what Eckler could do without.
What did he get? He played 12 games, 8 touchdowns, 3.4 yards a rush.
He was like, you know what? I better get back there.
And he realized
Right.
he realized that he's been paying. He watched too many Le'Veon Bell videos.
Yeah.
Did not work out for him. He's kicking himself a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, he's a free agent now, so I think he's going to have a change of scenery
Yeah.
Me too.
because someone's going to jump and
Yeah.
pay him because he's a good running back.
Yes. I think he gets far less
I
by
think-
comparison.
correct.
But I'm thinking more in like the LaShawn McCoy got when he went from Philadelphia to Buffalo. It's at 8 to 9 million range, maybe 7, 8, 9 million range. I think he gets there because if he tries this crap that Gurley and Bell and Zeke did, he's not getting 15.
So here's the
Not
thing:
getting
It's just not happening anymore.
He wanted that the difference between what he wanted and what the Chargers were willing to pay. He wanted $13 million a year.
Yes.
They were willing to go up to 10. So I think he's going to settle if he can get 10 or anything. 10.
Yeah, he's gonna have to settle.
Anything
He's not gonna
above
get
it,
more
he's
than
going
that.
to take it, whichever team offers it to him. And I'm sure some team will give him a 4-year, $50 million with 40 guaranteed kind of thing. I'm sure he'll get it. I just don't know specifically where, but he's going to get paid too. But the last one I want to Marcus Peters. We briefly talked.
We
about
hit
him
we
before.
hit on him.
Now that man made out like a bandit.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Got to go to a winning team, playoff run.
That's some
Up and
money.
coming playoff team. on top of
He
that.
got 3 years, $42 million, 32 guaranteed.
Yep.
He did all right.
Locked and loaded. I mean, could it be any sweeter? That's the best, honestly, out of all the defensive backs, he made out the best.
Yeah.
With a
Who's got it better?
23-year-old quarterback and
Yeah,
a team that's
like-
on the uprise.
Room for oh my God, he's probably sitting there like, look at what I got out of. Like,
Yeah.
look, I made it out.
Who's
But,
got it better than Marcus Peters?
Yeah.
Last guy I wanted to mention in the first round because I'd be remiss if I don't mention a Bronco. So Shane Ray, right now he obviously is no longer a Bronco. He also was on the Ravens this year, but he's been an utter disappointment. I would honestly say I'm looking at the defensive players of that draft, and in 5 years he has 94 tackles and 14 sacks, and utter disappointment in my book. I think that
None of the tackles were on Derrick Henry. Okay.
and we expected.
Very nice.
Listen, when he was on the Broncos, I mean, he did get hurt. He had that wrist injury and he was out. But we expected like some Von Miller-esque like things from him, and it never really panned out. So then he jumped ship, took the opportunity with Baltimore. They paid him a very minimal contract. I think technically they only paid him $200,000. But
Really?
yeah, that's all he got, $200,000 guaranteed. I'm sure there were incentive bonuses in there somewhere, but he
Yeah.
only got $200,000 from them. But he got to go to a playoff team, and I wish him all the best. But he's
There
not
you
getting
go.
a fat contract. That's not happening.
No.
He's
No.
He might get a 1 or 2 year deal, but he's not getting anything crazy. It's kind of, but yeah, man, that class in general, like I would say overall is
Bust.
Disappointing.
I would go
I
bust.
don't want to say bust
Yeah.
yet, but
Disappointing.
it's disappointing.
There was so much talent that should have came out of there that you're looking at it going,
Yeah, like
it's
that,
just Jameis.
I thought that class would have already like pretty much cemented themselves as like the guys, and
yeah, the future of the NFL.
yeah,
Something.
they really haven't. I mean, Gurley, we can argue he had his moments so far. I mean, nobody's counting Gurley out, but
Yeah. But nobody's really on his side.
but exactly. And then Gordon, we all
Honestly, of the players that you named, I think Amari Cooper's the only one with a future ahead of
Yeah,
him.
I agree.
I would say him and
really-
Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters, I think.
Yeah, I apologize for that. You're
I
right. You're
think
right.
Marcus
Offensive player,
Peters
though.
will end up being the
Yeah.
best player of his class.
Yeah.
I think
Very possible.
because
Very likely, actually.
because the offensive players in that class, I just think they don't have that it factor, and Marcus Peters got it.
Yeah.
He's ready
Yeah.
now.
I liked Steelers got Bud Dupree in there.
Bud Dupree,
He's
yep,
been
yep,
he's been decent.
Free agent, by the way, speaking of that.
He is also a free agent.
Yep.
How
Gone.
much are you pooping yourself?
Yeah. It was nice knowing you, bud.
Yeah, they're not going to pay him.
Yeah, he's probably gone.
He started out rough. It was a little rocky there, and
Yeah.
then maybe the past year and a half, he's really cool.
He's been nuts.
I think once they put TJ Watt on the other
yeah.
side there,
Well, Bush
He's
too.
been nuts.
Bush is
yeah. And Jamie, finally,
Yes.
speaking of draft classes, we have to go back and take a look at this year's the 2019 draft.
Yes. Yeah, the most recent one
Yeah.
is what you will.
Yeah.
This has been, at least at first glance, a little polarizing, is the easiest way to say. I'll start with the first rounders. Now, coming out for the 2019 classes, this was touted as being one of the better ones that you're going to see in the trenches. There's a lot of defensive end prospects that you're going to see, a lot of pass rushers, and there was also a lot of offensive linemen that were, running into the third and fourth rounds that were almost instant starters on any squad. So that was the beauty of it. Now, for the defensive end side of the ball, you can't talk about this without saying friggin' Nick Bosa. We've talked about him at length. Second overall pick this past year, of course, with the Niners, who's playing this weekend. Good for you, Nick.
Yep.
Personally believing he's the better of the Bosa brothers, because regardless of what any number is ever going to say about Nick Bosa, just watch the guy for about 8 minutes, and then you realize
Animal.
you'll realize there's a reason that we've talked about injuries and worry about that, because that dude is out to murder everybody on the field, possibly his own coaches and teammates. It's very likely, actually. I think he got a cameraman last week. But
He did.
which that's not even a joke. That's even better.
I thought that was a joke. And then you're like, no,
it really happened. He just
Rick killed a guy.
He's
Well,
just actually, he's just actually going after it. He's a freak of nature, and I love it. But just a shade after Nick Bosa, because the talk of the town was him and then everybody else.
Right.
But the Jags got a nightmare of a steal in Josh Allen, and no, not the Bills quarterback. I'm talking about the defensive end there, who on a team with Calais Campbell and now Yannick Ngakoue, who is a bye-bye Buffalo. I'm touting that one. All righty. Still had 10.5 sacks. He was all over the place as a dynamic defensive end, and nobody talked about him all season. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Nick Bosa did. Going to the offensive side of the ball, the offensive tackle, where there was a lot of players that were named right off the bat, I don't think that they stood up as much as they should have. Early on, the Cincinnati Bengals drafted Jonah Williams out of Alabama, and he was thought to be the next damn near lock to be a Hall of Famer. He hasn't played it down. He was injured in preseason, done for the year.
That's right.
So the jury, unfortunately, is still out with a guy like Jonah Williams, because he still has that caliber about him. But what do you know? Because you got to see nothing out of the guy. Exactly. And additionally, you're talking about a left tackle, a future of your franchise. We know going into this year that the almost unanimous first overall pick to the Bengals is Joe Burrow, the quarterback. But you're also going with a kind of a question mark with your left tackle. So you don't know if his blind side is going to be held up in any way. And a guy that I actually personally liked, and I really wanted Buffalo to go after him. I'm going to mention him, unfortunately, in Ray Nation's area, is Dalton Reisner out of Kansas State, who I loved this kid coming out of college. And then the unfortunate part, maybe it was me being a curse, because I think we talked about the Broncos' offensive line with Garrett Bowles and Dalton Reisner. He got absolutely torched the entire time after I touted that side. But it was more Bowles that got nailed, not so much Dalton Reisner. But
Bowles never really just put it together.
Yeah, he just kind of seemed a little off. But the unfortunate part, since they play the same side of the ball, or same side of the line, Dalton Reisner looked worse, and I think he got graded worse by the overall scouts. I think he's got a nice future, but then again, I'm sitting here with you guys, not coaching a squad.
You're not going over there after?
I might. God only knows with my schedule. I might
check in with Singletary before you go anywhere.
Oh, well, no, but now you're killing me there, Chief. I was about to get there. Holy crap!
I'm waiting.
So
I'm at his house. Did you check in with him?
Well, I will. I got to text him. Okay, my phone's right here.
I know it just went off.
But again,
are you?
I was going to help him out here in a little bit too, because the other end that I think were absolute nails were the defensive tackles of the draft, especially the first rounders. The Jets, I think, got it right with Quinnen Williams right off the bat. His numbers don't pop out at you, but you don't need a defensive tackle's numbers to jump off the page. Nobody's going to be Aaron Donald, especially as a rookie. But Quinnen Williams did a damn good job of doing his best impersonation, as did Buffalo's Ed Oliver. Now, somebody who else went after him, Christian Wilkins to the Miami Dolphins, same type of thing. Numbers don't jump off the page, but what he did, he had, I want to say 5 sacks over his last 8 games. But you didn't see him in the early part, but he started to get his feet wet. And really got it going. Happy birthday, you son of a man.
Wilkins, that was Clemson, right?
Yeah, he was a Clemson
Clemson
player.
guy, I
Yep.
remember.
Clemson defensive
The
tackle.
guy that did the split. He was awkward.
Exactly, but
Splits.
He also almost murdered the commissioner on stage. I don't know if you saw
oh
chest
yes,
bump.
the chest
He
bump
almost
that
killed him.
sent Goodell.
It's great.
Like from
That's my guy.
from Nashville to Knoxville in a heartbeat. It was wonderful.
God.
But no, Wilkins was a phenomenal player, and I would say damn near a steal, especially where the Dolphins got him, because they got him more towards the middle to late first round. It was a little bit after. I thought that was a great pickup there. But I think the cream of the crop is in two areas, and that's the running back position and the wide receiver position for the draft. And the funny part is there's not a wide receiver that really went too high. You started seeing guys like Marquise Brown come off the page, 22nd overall, or 25th, excuse me, to the Ravens. A.J. Brown, second rounder. Deebo Samuel, second rounder. DK Metcalf, who was projected to be a top 10 pick, second rounder.
Wow.
But all these guys made excessive contributions to their squad. And I think they have futures ahead of them like you wouldn't believe. My personal favorites out of that, I do want to say, are DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, though. There's something about them physically that I think is a little bit better. I mean, A.J. Brown's got more of the speed, but DK Metcalf is just look at the guy.
Yeah, but he's an ugly route runner, man. He can't run a route to save his life.
Honestly, this goes to, he can't, and you're absolutely right. But this goes to backyard football. When you're 8 years old, and basically you find the big kid that's older than everybody else, you throw it up and just let it happen. And that's what you're getting out of DK Metcalf, because he's big enough, he's powerful enough to just, here you go. See what happens at that point. He's going to come down with the ball. He's just got it. Doesn't matter what he can do for routes. Finally, going with the other end of the recap there, the running backs. This goes back also towards Ray Nation's point of Melvin Gordon. With the money he's about to get paid, and what the hell is happening behind me?
I just want another margarita, bro. Like,
I could see the faces.
I had no idea. I didn't even.
We
do
know where
anything.
this is going.
Yeah, it's not going where you think it's going to go.
Uh-oh.
Ha ha. So there you go. But as far as the running back position goes, it's one of those that proves that guys like Melvin Gordon shouldn't be getting $15 million. Le'Veon Bell shouldn't be getting $15 million, because what you saw out of a majority of the early round class, this one as deep as about 3 or 4 rounds, is that you can find a guy for nothing in any draft. Right off the bat, Josh Jacobs came in, the only first rounding running back, by the way, came out, took the reins with the Raiders, and he's fairly obvious the offensive rookie of the year. Yeah. He's got to be. He has to be. Additionally, second round running backs. You're looking at Miles Sanders, who over time took over for Jordan Howard, who's a pending free agent as well, who showed a lot of skills that he has all the ability in the world to be a dynamic back in the NFL. And yes, of course, I'm going to go with my man crush in Devin Singletary.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Hey, Mazel Tov.
But he's also a same type of thing. It showed that they were able to take a bad contract with McCoy and get rid of it. Kept a veteran on in Frank Gore for $2 million, big deal, and now he's going to be gone. And you're paying this kid about $900,000 on a rookie contract. So do you really need to pay $15 million for these guys?
No,
absolutely not. If you can just go out and just do that. So with, like you said, Melvin Gordon, but also Todd Gurley, who even in the Rams they drafted Darrell Henderson out of Memphis. Give him the damn ball, man. You don't need to pay $15, $16, $17 million to these guys if you got somebody else.
True.
So there you go.
That's true, but do they underpay Frank Gore because maybe he likes to stay? And didn't he just break a few records this year?
He did, but honestly, if you're Buffalo, he's gone, man. There's no reason to keep him around anymore.
My margarita is also good
because he does nothing for you. He does nothing for you on the 53 man at all anymore.
I'm going to give you.
Okay, but I'm just saying, in the times of the split backs that we're going with, do they try to keep him just in case?
My margarita.
Oh, I know, but I'm waiting. What if the man crush gets hurt and there's no other running back?
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, here's the thing. Here's what Buffalo's going to do. They're going to go after one of the free agents. By the way, Matt Breida is about to be a free agent. I'm going to throw that out there.
Wow.
And I do think that Buffalo puts a play in for him.
That'd be good.
Especially since Raheem Mostert just signed a fatty of an extension for himself. 2 days ago. Still got Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon under contract. So, yeah, Braid is the odd man out, and he looked great in blue. The other idea, my draft idea is I think they're also going to draft a running back. And it's going to be, my personal projection is going to be about third or fourth round. It's going to be Eno Benjamin out of Arizona State.
Oh.
Lock
Got it all worked.
Bold.
Bold. Just completely bold.
Yeah.
This is the longest show ever.
I know, seriously.
Oh, wait.
Well, he's asking me questions. I had.
Oh wait,
I
my
had to answer.
margarita's gone now.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
One final thing here. Your buddy Izzy says, over the next 5 years, what are your Bills ceiling in your mind, or should I say expectations?
Bill's ceiling has got to be, it's got to be a perennial contender in the AFC. If you want to talk about reality, because they've shed cap space to set themselves up year after year. They've worked their way to developing a young core. So now it has to be at least, I mean, you got to be talking about playoff wins. You got to have the at least realistic ability, believability that you're going to be making the Giant game on a year-to-year basis.
The Giant game.
Exactly. So
that's money saved. Right.
We only play once every 4 years.
Yeah, that's the
Other Giant game.
Yeah,
That's the
wrong-
little
oh,
problem.
there was
That's the
another
little
Giant
silent game.
So back to Izzy, the realistic
Big game.
idea or expectation is, wallowing in, hey, I hope we make the playoffs. That's unacceptable, and
Like-
especially what they've done over the last 3 years.
I can tell you,
Bold.
Yeah.
Izzy, I talked to him earlier today. He says you're going to win the division for at least the next 5 years.
And look, I don't disagree with Izzy in any way, shape, or form. Buffalo is the team I think is going to win the division next year. I do believe it at a 10 or 11 win season, though. I don't think, because it is a nasty schedule, and there's going to be a lot of ugly records coming out of the AFC East.
Craziness.
Wow.
Craziness.
Wow.
Listen, we got to go to our last break here. I promise anybody who's watching the show, it's going to be like 2 seconds long.
Yep.
I got to get these guys some bathroom breaks. And you, sir, have to get a margarita.
I heard something about that. There's a rumor about
Yeah, there's
that.
a rumor going around that someone.
Can I go at length for the rest of the 6 rounds that we didn't talk about?
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It brings us up to our point where this is your last IR for the season.
That it is.
Wow.
The last one.
Should I make a margarita
Yeah, go
while he
ahead and
does
make
it?
a margarita.
Yeah.
You
Are you going to do an
I'm the
IR
only one
about-
on camera
about
anyway. so-
narcolepsy? Are you
Yeah.
going to do one about that?
narcolepsy. Good Lord. Jamie, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Here it comes.
All right. Welcome to the final IR for the season. I am Jamie, and we're going to move on after seeing a little bit of an injury to Tevin Coleman in the NFC Championship game. To which we were looking at the injury, and Moss and Masucci actually asked me, like, what do you think as far as what it was? And the announcers thought it was an elbow injury, so I thought possibly a dislocated elbow, but it did come out as a dislocated shoulder. But in honor of Tevin Coleman and myself and my original thought, speaking that I took a dump off of my steps and like bashed my elbow open last night, we're going to talk about a dislocated elbow and what actually is happening at that point. So the elbow itself is a part of a joint. It only has really one movement. It's either going to flex, which means bend, or extend, in that case, straighten. Now, the bones that are involved is the upper arm bone, which is your humerus. There's a little divot in the bottom end of that, which fits the notch that you feel, that bump that you feel, which we all call our elbow, which is actually the upper portion of the ulna or a forearm bone. And those two pretty much bend and flex in that location. So as far as how to dislocate your own elbow, it's damn difficult, because the general rule of thumb as far as dislocations or anything like that is the greater the mobility, so the greater the movement, the easier it is to dislocate. So your elbow is one of the least mobile joints, so you would think the stability is a lot higher. So in order to do that, it is very challenging. Usually you can do it, and what we saw out of Tevin Coleman is when he extended his arm, it straightened up, and there is a possibility that you can actually pop that elbow out of that divot that sits in the humerus, and that's going to cause a little problem. But in this case, it did hit his shoulder. So as far as if you ever were to dislocate your elbow, there's a few problems that have to occur, or that do occur, excuse me. And the first being that you have to put the thing back in place. That is the first and foremost what you need to do. Additionally, you have to look out for any ligaments, tendons, or nerves that might have been damaged from the force of the dislocation. So if you are dislocated from the elbow in any way, shape, or form, it's a tough one to recover from. Usually it's kind of patient specific, but it could take usually about 6 to 8 weeks, but upwards of about 3 to 4 months to fully heal everything surrounding it. And if there's any ligament damage that was originally holding the elbow in, we're talking, I hate you, Ray, we're talking anywhere from about a year to 18 months. So, for Tevin Coleman, I'm glad that it was your shoulder and not your elbow, and we'll be watching you play in the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. And for Ray Pardee, happy birthday. I'm glad you got your friggin' margarita. I'm Jamie, and for 3 and Out in the Disruption Network, this has been this season's final IR. I look forward to seeing you guys next season. We'll see you after the break.
Join us Saturday, February 8th through the Disruption Network 3-year anniversary party at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica, New York. Musical acts include Annie in the Water, acoustic performance by Haley Jane, Trampoline Jetstream, and Live Noah. Haley in the Water will cap off the night covering Fleetwood Mac's hit album, Rumors. Party kicks off at 6 p.m. There will be beer, wine, food from Doughboys Barbecue, and Holy Pozzoli. Saturday, February 8th. For tickets, visit our website, disruptionnetwork.net.
Who the hell are you? You know.
You all know exactly who I am.
Talking about house money, there. Well, we gonna come to you and we gonna bring it to you like this.
Say my name.
All right, so we are down to the final house money of the season. Can't believe we made it this far. I am still going to be doubting San Fran. I mean, I've been telling everybody otherwise, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Nah, I'm joking. It's been completely broken. But on a serious note, the Super Bowl is the final game of the season, so there's not many games to pick, so I'm going to give you a couple of picks from there, and then I'm going to just throw in a prop or two. So with that being said, here's the last house money. All right, so I am not a fan of the Niners. It's no secret. I think that my doubting them has fueled them the entire season, but the Kansas City Chiefs will beat them in the Super Bowl. Yes, I said it. It's going to happen. Kansas City -1, people. It's going to be a shootout. I will give them that. They're going to put up their normal 30 points because every time I jinx them, they go for 30. So make sure you take the over 55. Over 55. And now, as far as these prop bets, I've seen a lot of props. Let me tell you a couple you can lock in. Number 1, there will not be a safety in this Super Bowl game. It's just not going down. Number 2, the first touchdown scored will be a rushing touchdown. Rushing touchdown. And for the coin toss, tails never fails, people. Wow. Tails never fails. Wow. So, you heard it first. Thank me later. Tips accepted. And yeah, this is wrapping up the last house money of the year.
Wow. Bold, man.
I'm telling you.
Tails never fails.
It's got to work this time. Every year it's funny because every year me and Dennis spends, we sit there and we bet each other.
Oh,
We're like, quick. We're like, quick. Heads or tails. We're like,
There's dollars
tails.
everywhere.
Everywhere. Oh, I love it.
It always sparks the ridiculous prop bets that we have
Always.
going.
We're like, they won't score on this play.
Yeah.
Bet.
What's the other-
Dollar. You know how it always works. We flip dollars back and forth. Run play. Yeah, I mean, we have everything going.
Usually at the end of the game, you guys have just about as many dollars as you start.
But we're also far drunker for their experience at that point. So we look forward to it this Sunday as well.
What's the over under this year for the national anthem?
Oh, I didn't see that one yet.
It
usually is right around
it's like two something, right?
Yeah, usually
Who's
goes
singing it?
around-
I forgot who's singing it.
Is it Grande? Ariana?
Ariana Grande.
Yeah,
I think.
That was
I think
Demi Lovato.
that could be.
Yeah.
It's
maybe.
one of them.
Maybe
Wait,
that
they're
one.
not the same person?
They look the
No,
same.
they're
They
not.
sound the same, but they're not. Yeah.
the same
I
person?
believe it's 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Was that?
That's going to go over.
You think so? That's a long time, man.
If it's Demi Lovato, she's going to pull it.
Oh boy.
She's no Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin is like 4.5 minutes.
I'm going under.
I thought Aretha Franklin was 4.5 hours, and she crushed that song.
I'm going under.
And she crushed that song.
we going under right now?
R-E-S-P-C-T, bro.
I think we have an
did.
early
She
prop
crushed
bet
it.
right now.
I coulda listened to her for a whole
I'm
concert.
going to go over. So me and Ray Nation already have a prop bet going for Sunday.
Yeah, I like the under.
I'm going to go over on the national anthem.
Oh, it's going over.
Yeah,
You're going over.
I'm going over. He's going under.
I like the under.
Get them dollar bills out, boys. We're going.
Well, basically,
We're on air.
whichever cookie cutter singer it is that actually has to do this needs to milk up the rest of her 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Very
Wow.
And if it's Demi, it's going 3 minutes.
All right.
So this is it, folks. This is the big end of our show, and we finally get to talk about our Super Bowl. Oops, I'm not supposed to say our big game predictions.
I called it the Giant game, and you guys laughed at me.
The Giant game. Well, sorry, I just cost the station like $25,000.
Yeah, Ray tried to pick my nose. It was terrible.
I'm gonna have.
It is Demi Lovato.
Is it?
It's going 3 minutes.
not
It's going over
Selena
3
Gomez?
minutes.
Oh man! All right. So the thing I asked you guys first of all is when you looked at the 2020 playoffs so far, I wanted you to tell me the best thing you've seen so far, whether that be a player, a team, a game, one specific play. What's been the best thing that you guys have seen so far in the 2020 playoffs?
Can I start?
Sure.
I'll probably steal it from a couple people, but I gotta go with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel has been incredible. Second year coach. He's gone 9-7 both years, obviously making it into the playoffs. And I'll be the first to admit, I doubted it. I didn't project them to make it anywhere. But as soon as they got there, taking out New England, taking out Baltimore, and I know they came in, they didn't play Kansas City. But they did play them good. They lost. They couldn't keep that run game. But I got to give props to the guy. I think you're going to see great things out of him in the NFL.
There you go. Yeah, honestly, mine. I'm not going to go with a specific team or anything, but I will say the Titans' defense was a happy surprise because I want to say it was 2 seasons ago. I might be a little off on this. When on the podcast where we were talking about potential surprise teams, and I thought their defense was on the up and up and making a run, and they just kind of never seemed to put it all together, but. They were a giant cause of that run that they made. So Titans defense was what really impressed me.
Ray, what do you got?
Are we talking regular season or playoffs?
2020 playoffs.
I'm going with Kansas City Chiefs over the Houston Texans. That comeback was ridiculous. I remember sitting there watching the game thinking, oh, Houston's got this. They're blowing them out. And then I was like, you know what? No. The Chiefs got a run coming. And then sure enough,
I did it.
We all know how that went.
Yes.
We were outscoring them 44-7 in the second half.
Oof.
I believe they call that a shit house.
Yeah, it was everything.
Mike,
that
what
was
you got?
Impressive.
There's a couple. I would say Tennessee's magical run really got me by surprise. The Ravens coming in with the gusto and the bravado, and then meeting the buzzsaw that was Tennessee. On the other side of the fence, it's looking at the number one team. Who would have thought they would have got there after 3-4 years of, hoping to get 2 wins, and now the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. Their fans decided to come back, and now they're all happy again.
You just cost the Disruption Network another $25,000.
I know we can't say that word. You can't say that word.
What word?
We're just messing around. I think we can actually say it, but it's
Big
just funny
game.
for me. Yeah.
None of us have $25,000 anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Good luck.
Say it all you want.
Racking it up.
It's got an imaginary number. $500,000. Checks in the mail.
Check's on its way. Hope you don't mind if it bounces off your desk.
So
What
That
else?
was pretty weak.
that's where I was. I've had friends that were Niner fans for forever, and they're still Niner fans. But to have some of them sit there and tell me last year, "Oh, we're going to be in the biggest game in the last game of the season,"
That game.
I sat there and I'm like, "You're out of your mind. Did you watch your team this year? They were awful."
Yeah.
And then it's like when they try to talk to you about how they see the game, and it's just like, stop. You have no idea what the cover 3 defense is. Just relax
It's like
about
Johnny
yourself.
DeLuca every week.
And that's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Those are my surprises of these playoffs. But I really did. A little piece of my heart was sitting there going, you know what? Let's go Tennessee.
I think a lot of people were.
I think everybody was.
Yeah. Ray, what do you got?
Yeah, mine's real quick. Mine's the overall changing of the guard at quarterback. You're seeing a lot of, mainstays get kicked out, and it's great. I love it. So you got, Mahomes, Jackson, Watson, Josh Allen, Jimmy
Thank
G,
you.
and then Brady, Breeze, Rodgers. And I know Wilson's kind of in the prime still, but he's been a mainstay as well. And he's won a Super Bowl, been to another one. I don't know who he beat in that Super Bowl. But it's just nice to see the change.
We know it wasn't Miami.
Oh, Bird.
I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm surprised that nobody said my best thing, which was watching the damn Patriots not make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I said it again.
We're down
He said it twice.
We're down $100,000 right now.
We were all talking about why they didn't
Yeah,
make that game.
exactly.
$25,000. We're in the hole. We give the $500 before we're done here.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing you've seen so far in the playoffs? Moss, you want to
The
start?
worst thing?
Yeah.
I would say the most disappointing thing would probably be the Saints losing to Minnesota, but they just, like we said before, they have their number. I was shocked by that. I didn't think that was going to happen.
That Bill O'Brien still has his friggin'
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Like I'm
That's
still,
good.
I'm
That's
still
good.
really friggin' angry that he punted on his own 30 up 17.
That's going to have you all summer.
I'm not even a Texans fan. This is how much Bill O'Brien is ruining my life. I'm angry at you and your team, and you've done nothing to me.
Yeah.
I have no bearing on you. And once the preseason starts, I probably won't give a damn about you.
You won't think about him again.
No, but it's still going to be burnt in my mind. You punted with a 17-point lead on your own 30. And that's why the Chiefs are in the, I won't say it, we're not getting the $500,000.
Big game.
They're playing Sunday, and you're not. That's what's happening.
The Super Blow is what
The super game.
the Super Blow.
Yeah, or the Booper Soul or something like that.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
just
the
flip the letters.
Soul. Yeah. I think
If I knew that, it would have been saying it all day.
I know. I think they're all like, "We got you, dude. We
Yeah.
already got you." Don't
Like, the NFL is just check mark. Check. Yeah.
They're not even watching.
Don't kid yourself.
Wow.
Big news.
They're everywhere,
That's
man.
bold.
They're
Wow.
everywhere.
Ray, what do you got?
My most disappointing thing
Yeah.
for the playoffs would probably be the NFC Championship team's run, because I've been doubting them since week 2, and they just continue to prove me wrong week in and week out.
Ruined me.
Just
I think Jamie and I should tell you, we told you so.
yeah. Well, you know what?
Like week 4 or 3.
Wait until Sunday. Wait until Sunday.
We'll get there.
And when I can finally be like, you know what? I was wrong the first 14 times, but the 15th one, it's all that matters.
Where it all comes together.
Yeah.
Can't wait. They're gonna pull a Falcons like disappointment in that game.
Wow. That's
Watch that.
That's
yeah, that's a bold one.
okay.
Bold.
Disappointing.
Mike.
Disappointing. I'm going to have to agree with the upper or lower panel, or the mainstays, the
upper
OGs,
echelon. The upper echelon.
the OGs. Watching the Saints, a little piece of me will always have a soft spot for the Saints. Very dear friend of mine was on that super team that won the championship. Very proud of him. I miss him every day. And I think a lot of it just comes down to just watching how they play every day. And you get to that upper spot, and all of a sudden, a fluke call that's not called.
Yeah.
Now they do it again. They just meet a buzzsaw. But again, I guess another disappointing thing would have to be, how do you go up 24 in the first quarter and just lose it?
Blow it.
So again, I agree. Where's Mr. O'Brien? Still got a job, but he may lose it in week 2 if that happens again next year.
Yeah. I got to tell you, watch your cable there. It's all clicking on the thing.
Killing her.
See? I love his reaction. Whoa.
Yeah.
Ray, what do you got?
Well, seeing how I'm sitting at the kiddie table with Debbie Downer over here, I'm not gonna talk about the Saints. I had a backup one. I think Carson Wentz in Philly. I think that was disappointing. He hasn't had any playoff moment at all. And for a guy getting paid that amount of money, I think him and that organization, we knew anybody coming out of the NFC East was going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But him specifically, for people looking him to take the next step, I think that's been a disappointment as well.
Yeah.
He took the next step backwards.
Well, he is the best quarterback in the NFC East, isn't he? Or is it Dak
Just
Prescott?
about.
Well, Alex Smith is coming back, so I'm going to take Alex Smith
That's still debatable.
You
though.
would take Alex Smith over. Nah, you see this
over
guy.
Carson Wentz.
One too many skinny margaritas. He's out of control.
Well, technically 1.5. It's
You're the
still
one that
there.
took Joe Flacco
But
over everybody else.
it's still debatable. Nobody
That was
knows
not
if
by
Smith
choice.
is coming back. Nobody knows if Smith is coming back.
Alex Smith? You would take Alex Smith?
Oh, you guys
my
are still
God.
on that.
Over Carson Wentz, yeah.
Oh boy,
Well, there's a rookie.
You hear this guy?
You don't know where he's at.
Who is
we have a
guy?
game to talk
Who's
about,
this guy?
guys.
I'm at the kiddie table.
You know what? I'll take Andy Dalton over, I don't know, my laundry man. I don't know. Whatever. Like,
Your laundromat got an arm? Lefty or righty?
righty.
What's the
Yeah, it gotta be
what's the
a righty.
40-yard dash?
5.2.
Oh, there's Al Davis.
No.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to say my disappointing moment was actually watching Lamar Jackson just kind of pitch. Yeah. After we said exactly what we said, that like I hope he has a very short memory from what happened to him last year.
That was literally our
Same thing is
call.
going- yeah.
I mean, Jesus, we talked about it as a panel. I know Moss called the damn thing as far as she flat out said Titans, but we all hemmed and hawed like there's something about it that just smelled wrong.
Yeah.
About that game, and it just was like, he led such a dud. 14-2 season, and you played like that.
I mean, I
think
won't
he
say
had
it was
too long to-
disappointing watching the Ravens exit the
Yeah.
Oh, none of this was disappointing that we talked about. It was great to see, but it was shocking, I guess is a better way to
shocking.
say.
It was bold. It was shockingly bold.
No, a fake punt on your own friggin' 30 is still a fireable offense. I don't care what it is. That is the worst thing I've seen.
Listen, earlier we were talking about the national anthem, and Dave Bandage is checking in, and
Hi, Dave. We haven't heard from you in
Long
100
time.
Yeah,
years.
he just joined a little bit ago, and I gotta say, thank you to Dave because throughout the season he's been one of our loyal.
Oh,
listeners.
diehard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for checking in all season.
Thanks,
and we
Dave.
definitely appreciate it. And he's got some stats up here. I just have to throw them at you because this is gonna go right to you. He said most sports books currently have the over/under set at 2 minutes. Betting the over generally nets a lower payout than taking the under would, though. And then he said performance times for the last 10 Super Bowls. Oh, last big game.
150.
Pink came in at 153. Luke Bryan came in at 204. Lady Gaga 209. Who's this? Adina Menzel. Let's see, I'm getting old. I don't even know who that
That's
is.
the one John Travolta messed up on the stage.
Oh, 204. Renee Fleming 154. Alicia Keys 235.
Jesus.
That was the longest, really. And Kelly Clarkson's 134 with the shortest. Christina Aguilera 154. Carrie Underwood 147. Jennifer Hudson 210. So there you go.
All right.
I remember that Christina one because I almost put money on it because you knew she was going to go over because she has that tendency to do that.
Yeah.
My cousin lost $200 on it.
Oh,
He said Lovato has performed the national anthem on this national stage 4 times, with the first coming in 2008 and the most recent in 2017. 2008 was a minute 53. 2011 was a minute 49.
Yeah, she's gone under 3 times.
2015,
she'll go
minute
over.
50.
She only went over once.
And
go
then
over this time.
2017, 2 minutes and 11 seconds. So
All right. No.
The under, man.
She's trending, man. She's
The under.
trending. She's trending up. Trending up.
The under works. 8 of the last 13 were under. So I
Trending up.
I thought it was Selena Gomez singing. It's not Selena Gomez.
thought it was Ariana Grande.
That's
Who's
not
Selena
Ariana
Gomez?
You don't, who?
So now the final topic of tonight, and we can throw it out the window here. Your Super Blow predictions,
Oh.
Nice.
and I'm going to ask you guys each what team are you picking?
Yes.
And just for schnitz and giggles, go ahead and why don't you give me a score and an MVP too? If you had to play Nostradamus,
The Schwam, if you will.
Swami,
Schwab, if I will.
Yeah.
I'm with Ray Nation. I'm going Kansas City on this one.
KC.
I am going KC. There's a funky stat with this one before we move on any further. This is actually the first time since 1971, well, 1972, actually, I think it would have been the Super Bowl. Shit, I just cost us money.
500,000 counting.
Where the number one pass defense played the number one rush offense, or pass offense versus rush offense. That
When was
it?
it?
It was like 1971 season. Was the team? So it was a 1972 big game or whatever. And that was actually the Dolphins. Yeah, it was the Dolphins versus the Cowboys, which the Cowboys won that game. We all know what happened the following year. Ray Party, since it's your birthday, what happened the following year?
That would be the only perfect season.
Yeah,
ever.
exactly, for the Miami Dolphins. So I throw that out there just because I want to make
And
him feel
another team
happy.
spoiled another one.
Yeah. I want to make him feel happy on his birthday. So it's the first time since that year.
He looks happy.
The margaritas are making me happy.
I personally just like the Chiefs' offense being a little bit too firepower. They have a lot of firepower, but even with that, it's the adjustments and the trades that they made to their defensive line that I think is going to give Garoppolo a little bit of a problem, at least. They still have to slow down the running game, which is going to be a problem. So my overall score is going to be relatively high despite the Niners defense, and it's going to be in the 35-31 area. Chiefs winning that game.
Wow.
Yeah. So my MVP is going to be Mahomes because I think every single touchdown is going to be off his arm.
Boss.
Oh, all right. I'm going to shock everybody in this room.
What?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Whoa.
I know. I'm looking at Ray as I say that.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, it was hard because I believe this is going to be an incredible game. Normally, when you take the best offense against the best defense, defense wins championships. But there's a guy by the name of Mahomes that I just think is too good.
I think he's singing the national anthem.
He might be at a brisk
Over 2 minutes.
234.
Yeah, over 2 minutes.
After seeing what he was able to do against Tennessee, I just think that if they're able to stop that run for San Francisco, and San Francisco has to rely on Jimmy G's arm, that's going to get them in trouble. And Mahomes is just going to fly off the handle at that point. So my score, and I'm giving you this score because it will help me win money, is going to be 21 Kansas City, 14 San Francisco.
Wow.
That will win me money, by the way.
Nice.
Well, it's no secret that I want the Niners to lose. So, with that being said,
The Niners are the pick. There you go.
I'm going Kansas City 38-22. I think it's going to be high scoring. Also, my square, I have 8 and 2, so trying to win some money here.
Am I the only one that hasn't picked off a square so far? Okay.
I haven't either.
But I think 38-22 because I definitely think it's going to go over. I think Kansas City wins the game. I agree with them. Patrick Mahomes is going to have a hell of a game, but I think they're going to give MVP to Travis Kelce because I just have a feeling that this guy is going to just. I'm thinking like 3 touchdowns. Really.
I don't think a tight end has ever gotten MVP.
And what perfect way to do it, Travis Kelce. MVP.
Actually, I know a tight end has never gotten MVP.
Boom, first one. Travis Kelce, MVP.
A tight end, really? I like that, though.
Yep. Kelce. I like it.
Mike, what do you got?
Well, I'm not picking off my square, and I have 2. 35-24, Kansas City.
Wow.
I like
All right.
it.
So far, I'm seeing a trend here.
And it's Mahomes.
Okay. All right. Ray, what do you got?
I'm here to break that trend.
Really?
Oh.
So
We almost had our first 5-way Goocher.
That would have been like instant.
I'm using the
horror
one that's
right
the
there.
off one
Yeah.
here.
I don't
Yeah.
know what to do anymore.
So I'm going 35-32. My thing is when they played the Saints in the regular season, they got into a shootout. It was no longer about defense at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that San Fran can't shoot it out is just not It's just not true, guys. Not true.
It's just not true, man.
I said 35-31.
Right. I said 35-32.
All right.
Still one up you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just one up. This
Higher
is our
scoring game.
friendship. This is
Higher
our
scoring
friendship.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And my MVP is Bosa.
Wow.
So you're picking the Niners, I'm guessing.
I am. That's
There you go.
That's why I'm breaking the trend.
Craziness.
Do you want to know the real reason why I didn't pick the Niners? Because I can't have another team with 6 Super Bowl wins.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Well, that has nothing to do with it. I do want to point out that me and Ray Pardee did not talk about this
Yeah, no,
beforehand.
not at all.
So this is all rattled off the thing. So
Nice.
I'm going to say Dave, he's checking in. He says 41-28, 49ers win.
Wow.
So the Chiefs are going to score all their points in 2 quarters. I'm going to tell you something. I know the score. I already know the score.
Simpsons?
No Simpsons. I ran this through a very, very technical thing here. Tecmo Bowl.
I was about to say, so you're playing you were playing Tecmo Bowl on the emulator.
No.
Okay.
It was the Tecmo Bowl emulator, but I let the computer play it.
Well, of course, you have to.
3 times.
Yes.
And you're not gonna believe this. 3 times the score came up the same, and every freaking time it ended up the same. The people scoring touchdowns and everything. 17-9, Kansas City.
17-9.
Yep.
Let me see who that would win.
I might
17-9.
17-9.
Get this. 17-9. I was shocked this happened. 17-9. Obviously, San Fran never scored a touchdown in there.
Yeah.
It was all field goals. And on every Williams scored the first touchdown, rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
And Travis Kelce scored the second touchdown, and that was it on every single game. If it comes up like that, I'm going to Vegas. Me and my Tecmo Bowl machine. We're going. I'm taking my internet machine. We're going.
Isn't it usually Madden that predicts this thing? Now we're going with the Tecmo Bowl emulator.
I would trust Tecmo Bowl more than Madden.
Absolutely.
It's the updated roster.
I'll trust NFL Blitz
Didn't
more
you
than
play it one time too, and it still was the same?
I tried playing it, but that game was 17-10.
Oh.
But that was with me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happens. If it's remotely close, I'm just throwing this out there. I am not going to be back on 3 and out next season. I've officially called it a life at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
At this point, you know what? If that's what happens, we're just going to bring the Tecmo Bowl on here and just put it.
It'll basically be us for an hour. An hour during the regular season. During playoffs, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
It would just be us we'll push power and let the computer go.
Well, you'd have the Tecmo Bowl machine. You'd have Devin Singletary, right? He wants to be interviewed.
Yes.
And then, whoever else you want at that point in time.
There you go.
Demi Lovato.
So listen, I gotta say just a couple things as we wrap up here. As I mentioned before, thank you so much to all of our listeners, like Dave, who's checked in a bunch of times, and Mick Ross, who's been a very, very faithful.
Thanks, Mick.
Yeah, Mick's an avid listener.
Yeah, for a couple of years now. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been doing this for 3 years, and I think he's kind of been along for most of the ride. So
pretty much from episode 1, I want to say. He's been right along, and he confided in me when we went to the signing, actually, that he usually listens. If he doesn't watch it tonight, he'll definitely watch it at work tomorrow.
Yeah,
and he's always about everything. And then I'll start getting like comments and texts and everything from him.
Yeah, and it's great because I think people misunderstand. When we're always like, you got to listen to the podcast. You got to do this, got to do that. A lot of what we're doing, man, we're really hoping that people are enjoying it and are sharing it, because that's all we really have. We don't have advertising dollars. I mean, we're on like a local network here. So if it's not for our faithful listeners and it's not for the people who are sharing it, we're dead in the water. That also being said, I do have to thank Z and Todd,
absolutely,
Chicken, and all those guys, because they did have amazing faith in us. For anybody that doesn't really know the story, and I'm sure we had some listeners from season 2, we actually cut season 2 short because we had a little bit of shakeup in our cast of characters here, and we didn't really even know if we were going to go on. There was part of us that was like, well, you know what, maybe.
Well, what should we do?
Yeah, maybe it's time to just wrap this thing right up and call it a day. And it was actually Z who kind of got in my ear and was like, dude, you guys got something good going on. Let's put it on Disruption, and see how that goes there. We weren't even too sure how we were going to go. When we came into the season, we were looking at it going, we'll try it. We'll see what happens. And lo and behold, I think I love it. I do.
19 episodes later.
Yeah, 19 episodes with these guys. I love doing it. I love everything that they're doing down at the D. I came from the D. This is where we started doing our podcast originally. I did, at least. And so it's great to be back with them. There's a couple more shows that we're talking about that are in the works. We'll see.
Lots of shows out there that you can tune into on
they've
the
got
D.
some great programming that they're bringing right now. So definitely check in with them, and we'll try to keep our end up on mygaragebar.com and let everybody know what else is coming down the pipe here. I think that's pretty much it. We're just gonna take the rest of the season off. I know that we've had a lot of people ask, so you're doing a wrap-up show, aren't you? No, this is it. We never do a wrap-up show because pretty much after the big game, everybody is checked out. Yeah. And
nobody wants it.
Anything you're going to want to hear about this game, you're going to hear regurgitated about 4,000 times.
We're pretty checked out, too.
Yeah, you're going to hear it on ESPN for the next week and a half. So there's no sense us going on there and trying to add our expert opinion when they got it all covered. Yeah. So, but that's it. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. Absolutely. And we will definitely, season 4, I think we usually come back like the week or two before the season starts.
Generally speaking, yeah, we've had some. At least me and you have had some chats about a possible semi-earlier one, but we haven't really hashed anything out. But usually, we'll say the damn near guarantee is going to be preseason, about a week or two beforehand.
Yeah, we've got some more tricks up our sleeve. Yeah. I mean, a little more production value we're going to throw in.
Exactly, yes.
Now that we know this is like something we're doing. We were going to do it at the beginning of the season. Like I said, we were like, I don't know if it's really going to work out. And then once we got into the season, we're like, damn, we don't have time to do this anymore.
Yeah. What the hell were we thinking? Why didn't we do it before the season?
Yeah, but now we've got the whole summer to really nail that down. Everybody else can catch me over on All Pucked Up.
Exactly.
That show is still alive and kicking. Yep. Our NHL show. That's going to go right on through, till the end of the thing. Can I say Stanley Cup?
Yeah, why the hell not? We said Super Bowl enough.
Hey,
everybody said it at least once.
Got to get that extra $25,000.
Demerit.
Oh, well. Anyways, guys, thank you so much to all you two for coming down here. And I do realize it's not easy coming out here every week and donating your time and certainly your talent to this podcast and getting this thing done. It's trudging through the snow and everything else, it's a pain. It's a pain in the ass. Nobody knows more than I, but you guys are troopers, and I love everything about the show and you guys coming on here and helping us out. You're the best. Seriously,
thank you so much,
and you guys too, man. I'm hoping next year we can have a bigger role for you guys. You guys have been great for us. So
thanks for one of the best birthdays of all time.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks for being our host, Rich.
Oh,
you're fantastic.
Please.
And Ray, to finalize your birthday, I'm holding the non-Pee-wee version of your logo. It is a show.
We have chicken wing dip and cupcakes, so we got to get out of here.
Yes.
Margarita.
Yeah.
And more skinny margaritas.
Yeah. So thank you once again, all the Disruption guys, and for Jamie, for Erica, for Ray, for the other Ray, and of course Mike over there. Be good. We'll talk to you soon. Megan, please get better.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game. We'll see you next season.
Happy birthday, Ray.
Out.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar, brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.